horse feel like a little pickle when I mention my friend Dickus. What about you? Do you find it reasonable when I say the name Dickus? He has a wife, you know. You know what she's called? Incontinentia. Incontinentia butter. Shut up! What is all this? I've had enough of this rowdy, rebel, sticking behavior. Silence! Calling from calling God. You must seize him! Seize him! Blow your noses and seize him!
I say, kill him. Yeah! I say we hang him, then we kill him. Yeah! I say we stop him. Yeah! Then we tattoo him. Yeah! Then we hang him. Yeah! And then we kill him. Yeah!
Stop.
But it's Ron and Fez show.
I'm Ron and Fez.
Hiya, buddies.
That's the Pixies, as you know from the last song in the great film Fight Club. Black Girl plays that for us this morning. Why, Fez? Because Chuck Palahniuk, the writer of Fight Club, among many other books, probably, 7, 8 more books since Fight Club first came out, is coming in here in just a little bit.
Very cool. He's going on tour with the paperback release of his latest book, Haunted.
Where is he going to be, Fez?
He is going to be at
the Strand? Is that where he's going?
The Strand, 828 Broadway in New York City, and then tomorrow, Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Mass.
All right, so that should be very cool to have him stop in. Don't let him scare you, Earl. Sometimes he's a little scary. If we need to, we'll get a Fight Club going today. Now, it does have that kind of odd day going around. What just happened on O&A is... It was really enough for me to think, I don't know if I could do a show today. I don't know if I can come into that room. You can still feel the aura is hanging around.
There's a film. There's a pace that's lingering.
Yeah, but it's even more. It's like if you went to a battlefield where great catastrophes took place, and then I happen to come walking in just as Stalker Patty's taking that walk of shame. And I just said congratulations. I had nothing else to say but congratulations.
Well, she looked at me and just did that real sheepish hi, Fez, where she had her shame written all over.
You know, I'm going to tell you right now, if, God forbid, I get to hell and I find out that Opie is not there, I'm going fucking ape wild. I am just going out of my mind. You have got to be kidding me. I'm here and he's not. Now, Anthony, I don't expect it for you. You know why, Fez?
Why's that?
He's an angel.
Oh, yeah.
He's the angel Willie Mace. He's the Willie Mace of comedy.
God bless him.
Nothing more you can do about it. God bless him. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Say that God bless him thing again, Fez.
God bless him.
That's very nice. That could be your new catchphrase. You know how we're always looking for a catchphrase from you.
Oh, yeah, so I could start the show with that. God bless you.
No, not God bless you. You had a God bless him. And it's just for him. It's not for everybody. I don't want everybody to get it. What happened to your old catchphrase, ouch, it's in my ass? You done with that one?
Yeah, that one, I just don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, I guess you can't once it widens up. Hey, Daniel, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, you scared the hell out of me. It sounded like you were announcing Chuck Palahniuk had died. I got worried.
No. Worse. He's coming in here. That's even worse for him. Although, imagine how those books will sell when that day happens, when that awful day happens. Now, getting back to this, I'm walking in as the Stalker Patty vibrator dance is taking place, and Earl is giving me, for lack of a better term, the blow-by-blow over the phone. And I'm going, he goes, oh, my God, it's so disgusting. He goes, it's quiet. You can hear a pin drop in there now. It's just her. And he goes like this. And I'm going, what is there? I think she goes, and Earl says to me, well, you know how it is the first time you use a vibrator, how weird it feels. I go, no, Earl. Do you?
Well, I got my words mixed up.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
you came out this morning.
No, it was just
you
so disturbing.
And Bill O'Reilly have your own vibrators at home.
No,
I'm not judging, Earl.
Earl, what the hell are you doing?
I'm not doing anything.
This is not a place of judgment for me.
You never judge, Ron.
How can I? All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Hagar wants to jump in here with his first of, I guess, a few people that I've been talking, well, every single person I've talked to about The Sopranos. How you doing, Hagar?
Pretty good, buddies. I'm disappointed. It seems like, I don't know, I let myself get really excited. Everything builds up, and I just expect...
What is it that you want? You wanted Christopher to get whacked?
No,
Did you want to lose Johnny Sacks?
I'm not one of those guys who's bloodthirsty, wants to see Paulie get killed, this guy get killed, that guy get killed, but I want a little closure. I want a few things to kind of... I know they got the other...
It's not the end of the season. It's not the end of the series. And... I'm trying to think about this. Every season, doesn't The Sopranos kind of go off the same way? There's like some kind of family gathering where everyone's just hanging around, and it's not really over the top.
Yeah, where you just get a look at everybody and know that, all hell's getting ready to break loose for these people in one way or another.
I mean, I think just the opposite of that. I think it's really more... it returns to that place of family and just almost monotony. It seems like it's done that every single year. So, but I thought it was a pretty tense episode. Now, I understand everybody's feelings over the course of a season, but episode by episode has been pretty stressful.
When the FBI agent gives him that big warning, and then the next thing you see is Christopher, pretty much unarmed and alone with his chick, and he's in the diner, and he walks out, you just wait for something to happen.
See, this is what happens. If there was 4 guys there with shotguns and they blew Christopher away, we'd be hearing from everybody, awesome, what a great episode, Les, never saw it coming. So really, it's only one scene that keeps you from being happy. And then you don't have Christopher anymore. Then the problem is you don't have Christopher anymore.
I was enjoying the stuff with Christopher and Juliana. I thought those were great scenes, where they were getting high again and stuff like that.
Chasing that dragon?
Oh, yeah.
But all in all, what did you think of the episode?
I was fine with it.
Hey, Thomas, you're Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I think they should have done the J.R. Dallas thing and whacked somebody, but you don't know who it was. So then we sat around for a year to figure out who got whacked.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. It's a very interesting point, though. Everybody now wants to write The Sopranos for David Chase. You know what I mean? Everybody says in their mind, here's how I want the show to go. It's not the show that you're given anymore.
And how can you not love Junkie Love? It was a great depiction of just two people who find each other for all the wrong reasons.
If I told you how common was, Earl, you would never stop crying. You would never stop crying. All in all, Earl, you're going to be coming back next year?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you guys, I got to tell you, I go to some of the boards, it's 100% against them right now. Across the board. I don't see anybody else defending these guys at all.
I think it went really back to basics where you just have this situation where they're never happy. No matter how much power they acquire, no matter how much money they acquire, there's always something missing. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's the essence of the show.
All right, enough of your rambling. Earl, is Chuck ready to come in?
Yes, he is.
Wait, no, don't have her. I've told you time and time again, I don't want that redheaded weirdo doing this. You have got to take yourself into an executive producer role.
All right, we'll switch.
This is an author. This is a writer. I don't want Beaker running at him and screeching. This is a man who deserves our respect. I can't have a redheaded maniac just bouncing at him like the Easter Bunny.
You know something's going to get spilt, something like that.
Dave, you didn't... something like that. It's just the new crutch. I'm just giggling along.
Oh.
Giggling along. It's been like 4 times today. Dave, you didn't say a word to Chuck, did you?
I said, nice to meet you.
Oh, my God, no.
I said something about honor, and it's the truth.
Oh, my God.
Why did you not run to your immediate supervisor, Earl?
Why didn't you just say, Mr. Polanek, there's no way I should even be looking at you? Seriously, I'm an inbred, and maybe it would be a good new book of people that look and act like me in the hills of West Virginia attacking tourists.
I didn't want to bother with him with that type of nonsense.
Chuck Polanek is in the house, Fez. He's really one of our fine writers, one of our great writers in this country right now.
He's on tour promoting the paperback release of his book, Haunted. He's going to be at 828 Broadway, New York City. That's the Strand, doing a signing. And then at Brookline Brooksmith in Brookline, Massachusetts. That is tomorrow.
All right, so let's bring Chuck in.
And you open the door and you step inside. We're inside our hearts. Now imagine your pain is a white ball of healing light. That's right. Your pain, the pain itself, is a white ball of healing light. I don't think so. This is your life. Good to the last drop. Doesn't get any better than this. This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. This isn't a seminar. This isn't a weekend retreat. Where you are now, you can't even imagine what the bottom will be like. Only after disaster can we be resurrected. It's only after you've lost everything that you're free to do anything. Nothing is static. Everything is evolving. Everything is falling apart. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. Doesn't get any better than to give up. You have to realize that someday you will die. Until you know that, you are useless. I say, let me never be complete. I say, may I never be content. I say, deliver me from Swedish furniture. I say, deliver me from clever art. I say, deliver me from clear skin and perfect teeth. I say, you have to give up. I say, evolve, and let the chips fall where they may. This is your life, this is your life, this is your life, this is your life. Doesn't get any better than this. This is your life, this is your life, this is your life, this is your life. Minute, ending 1 minute at a time. Welcome to Fight Club. If this is your first night, you have to fight.
It's the Ron and Fez show. Chuck Palahniuk is in studio with us. His latest book, Haunted, is now in paperback. He's going to be at the Strand at 828 Broadway in New York City tonight and at Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Massachusetts tomorrow night.
Chuck, welcome to the show. This is the start of your tour right now?
Yeah, this
New York
is
City?
Of this year's tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 years of touring.
10 years of touring, and do you see the same faces coming out? Are there new faces? What... I know that you have a relationship with your fans like I don't think any other writer does.
I'm seeing their babies now. I mean, that is the depressing part, is I have seen them from high school to having their babies. I've gotten their wedding invites. I mean, I'm watching these people grow up.
Why did you go in the direction of keeping in touch with your audience? I don't think a lot of writers do that, do they? Where they'll answer emails and stuff like that?
You know, and answer letters, and because that is where all of the best stories come from.
Yeah.
You know, my life could probably fill, she's nothing. My life is fantastically boring. But all of these people who just, because I debase myself with the stories that I tell, they come up and they tell me the most amazing things that you would never even find on the internet. Stuff that they have never told anybody. And so I come back from tour with enough stuff for 10 books.
So a lot of the stuff that's in the Haunted is stuff that people brought up to you.
Oh, at least 99%.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's how little imagination I have.
Yeah, but, you know, to be able to pull it all together, it's pretty interesting. Now, I've got the Haunted paperback. This is the shape that it's in, because as I'm attempting to read the book, I'm twisting and jerking back and forth. Some of these stories, Chuck, I got to tell you the truth, I wish I never had in my mind.
I know. See, isn't that the horrible thing?
Yeah.
That somebody can come up to you and show you a picture or tell you something that will stay with you until you die. That will be the last thing you see before you fall asleep every night.
Yeah, it is bizarre. You know, the weird thing, too, is some of this stuff, because the way that you can write about disease or whatever, and I know, is it called like a new kind of horror now? Some of the critics are saying it's a different kind of horror that you're writing. You know,
that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Because since 9/11, we can't really stand on a soapbox and say really overtly political things for fear that nobody will laugh anymore and we'll be labeled a terrorist.
Right.
But if you call it horror, where people have the expectation that things are going to turn out poorly. Mia Farrow's going to have that devil baby. Right. Then you can get away with anything.
Well, I mean, when it comes to like horror, I've never been afraid of, Frankenstein or the Mummy or whatever, because I can't imagine that happening. The stuff in your books, the thing that really scares me is it will happen at some point. With some of the disease or accidents that people go through, you're probably going to face this stuff in your life.
And the thing is, the big defense is it has happened. There is nothing I can imagine that 1 million billion people have not already done or are also planning to do. None of us are that unique.
Yeah. I know that that I guess what happens is a lot of times I read your stuff and I'll go, I've had that thought before. This is familiar to me, but like a civilized person, I push it out of my mind. I push it away, and there you've brought it back again.
It's funny. Every time I get my wallet out to pay for something, I put fortune cookie fortunes, the really good ones, in the little window part where people put their driver's license or their kid's picture. Mm-hmm. And every time I take my wallet out, the cashier says, I do that too. I thought I was the only one that put my fortune cookie fortunes in the window part.
Right.
And all of us thinks that we're the only one that does these things until, somebody goes in and shoots up an entire school because nobody wanted to admit they all have had that fantasy.
Now, do you, I'm sure some of obviously some of the emails and letters you get have got to be somewhat frightening from people.
For the most part, they're really not. That if somebody's going to take the effort, especially to write a letter, that the process itself is a sort of civilizing process. And then to buy a stamp and then to put it in the mail. By the time they've gone through all that, it's like the 10-day waiting period on a gun. They just don't have it anymore.
So you don't really you think if anybody was going to do any of this stuff, that it would either happen quickly, or they're not even thoughtful people who would sit around and read books and think about it. They'll just do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the kind of thing that those are not book people.
Right.
Book people, boy, anymore, there are so few book people. Just the fact that they're reading a book sort of makes them an intelligent person, sort of a more thoughtful person. I think somebody's going to be a lot more swayed by any other form of media at this point.
So you're competing, of course, in media. Let's say that Fitzgerald would never even dreamt of. When Fitzgerald was writing, people either read books or they went to concerts or something. But now, young people they've got a million different things they could be doing besides reading your book.
A million different forms of storytelling that serve them better. And I don't think that they don't read because they're stupid people. I think they don't read because they are smarter people and they're more sophisticated storytellers, and they have seen stories told in much better ways by every other form, and that's why they've left books behind.
Yeah, I know. It's a good point, because when you think about ADD, when we keep reading, kids have ADD. Well, you're going to need ADD in this world. You're really going to have to be able to switch gears all the time. And I noticed reading your books, everything moves along pretty quick.
And those people with ADD are probably the best drivers on the freeway.
Right.
It's those people who really love books that you do not want to be driving around.
Slow, easy, thoughtful people.
Or the people who are going to sideswipe you because they didn't look.
Right. They're off in their own world.
Right.
Yeah.
Chuck Palahniuk is in studio with us. He's the author, of course, of Fight Club, Choke, Survivor, Stranger Than Fiction. His latest, Haunted, is now in paperback.
Now, this is a bunch of short stories that you've tied together through another story. Why did you go in that direction this time? And some of these short stories, I was thinking, this seems like I would like to stay with it. This could be a novel in itself.
And that's that's a mark of a good short story, is that it sort of explodes at the end.
Right.
And you can imagine a whole world coming out of the back end of that story. And I really love Twilight Zone and those sort of shows that wrapped a whole bunch of things together. And that's kind of a sort of a vaudeville format of a lot of different textures of stories all presented together within a sort of a context that allows for that. And we just haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, but we used to have those anthology TV things. I guess they went out in the late 60s, early 70s. People don't think, hey, I'm just going to take, I'll go in there and see what they have this week. They have to know exactly what they're going to get every week, I guess.
And also cheapness, because, you have to build different sets every week for every story, and you have to cast those stories, and you have to bring in guest writers and directors for those stories. And if you can do a reality show, you can save a lot of money and get the same audience.
I was also thinking about Illustrated Man when I was reading it, which was a favorite of mine when I was a kid. Same type of format.
There's the old hack science fiction writers called those fix-up stories, fix-up novels. Because in the 1930s and 40s, if you had a whole bunch of magazine stories published and you could find some common thread, hey, all these stories take place on Mars. You could write the Martian Chronicles.
Right.
And republish all of your previous work in one cover as a fix-up novel.
Chuck is here. He's on tour. He's out reading to people. I guess was it the last tour that you were on that you were reading Guts that got so much press?
The last tour had a lot of faintings.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a tour in England where I read it several times, and the biggest one was Brighton with 13 faintings.
Wow.
Yeah.
13 people fainted during the reading of this story. Now, has this type of thing ever happened before? Or
it has happened historically with Charles Dickens when he read I think it was the strangulation scene from Oliver Twist.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is a really tightly corseted laudanum culture.
Right.
Where a lot of those folks were just set up. And I understand that Irving occasionally has faintings with Cider House Rules when he reads the kitchen table abortion scene, that people have fainted during that scene. But no, not in recent history.
Now, when you're reading this story, and it is horrific. It is just an ungodly story to read.
But you laughed, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. I may be a little bit of a sick person. I mean, I prefer that kind of comedy probably to the slapstick, straight ahead comedy. Like I'm more likely to laugh at Pulp Fiction. The jokes there are Goodfellas, something that'll break up some of the other tension. I think I'm for a quick laugh for more than a straight comedy. But as you're going through this and you're reading the story, and I'm sure you're getting laughs from the audience, you start to see people keel over. You ignore them, or do you stop? How do you deal with that?
The first sign is you start to see people undress. There'll be a lot of laughter, and then the laughter will slowly die away as people realize where the story is going. And then you'll look out, and there will be 25 people topless because they're sweating so hard that they've taken their shirt or their sweater off. And at that point, I start feeling a little lightheaded, so I have to hold on to the podium. And at some point, there'll be this horrible, horrible sound as someone's head flops to the side and their soft palate closes.
Mm-hmm.
A doctor explained this to me in Cambridge, England, that as you faint sitting up, your head flops to one side, your throat collapses, and your body automatically, reflexively jerks you forward to open your throat again so you can breathe. And the weight of your head carries you to the floor. So typically, you'll see someone sort of flop to the side against the person next to them. And at that point, they just twist and their weight takes them right to the floor.
That's a survival technique. That's something the body does for you.
Exactly, because you can't do it for yourself. You're suffocating. But you hear that horrible choking noise just before the crash.
Ugh.
Chuck Palahniuk is in studio with us. He is going to be appearing at the Strand. That's at 828 Broadway in New York City tonight. And then tomorrow in Brookline, Massachusetts at Brookline Booksmith.
How long do these tours last for you, Chuck? How long are you out on the road for?
This one is just a couple weeks, which is just great. Typically, they don't go more than 2 or 3 weeks. So that's fine with me.
When you're in Europe, is it the same type of crowd? I mean, you deal probably with more young men than any writer today, don't you? I'd say.
Probably, but, anymore it's really even. Young men and young women.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And very big with colleges. I know in colleges you're read pretty extensively now.
I am required reading in some colleges, which is fantastically shameless.
That has got to be a bizarre thing for you to hear, too.
But I'm banned in some colleges, so it evens out.
Have you ever heard from any of the schools? Or did you ever try to get a reason why you were banned?
No, not really, because typically it's people who've written to me and said, you are banned from the United Methodist College. But the fact that you are banned means that everyone has your book.
That almost makes it required reading.
It is like a marketing tool.
Yeah. They used to have the Banned in Boston thing on for a film or whatever, if they would actually take it, and I guess because the Archdiocese in Boston had so much control at one time, so the movie studios or books would actually slap that on there to make other people find out what the hell's in here that I need to read so much.
And that was one of the reasons why Mark Twain had such a career, is that Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, even within their time, were considered really scandalous because they used a vernacular. They didn't have a very intelligent sort of author's voice, narrator's voice.
Right.
And they were so condemned and so banned for their seeming idiocy that they became fantastically popular.
That's another thing. The way you write is almost like talking to you most of the time. Like you could feel almost that regular guy thing coming at you.
And that is because when I first started writing, Thursday night workshop in Tom Spanbauer's kitchen, we would drink afterwards, and one night Tom got drunk enough to say, you know, Chuck, you cannot write for shit. You cannot write a story, but you can tell a story. So why don't you just try to write the way you would tell a story at a party to a bunch of drunken friends?
Before that, you were being overly descriptive, or?
Before that, I was trying to be Stephen King, and I was trying to be Joyce Carol Oates, and I was trying to be anybody who already had an audience.
You know, and I was thinking the same thing, too, of you saying some of these stories that you take out, you know, and basically doing like Guts, you were doing a spoken word, and you'll be doing some of that tonight. And you can find that when you're doing that sometimes, because I imagine the writer doesn't always have the opportunity to get the feedback of hearing the gasp, hearing the laughter. I know from doing stand-up, you could have a line that you think, oh, this punchline's great, it's done well for a year. You switch one little thing, and suddenly it's 10 times better, or gets nothing. A writer doesn't have that kind of feedback normally.
Normally they don't. In the workshop that I still go to with my friends that I've gone to for 16 years, that is like our beta testing. Where do you need a beat? Where do you need a pause? Where are you delivering too fast? Where do you need to sort of cut the energy back so that the next thing lands as hard as it can land? What laugh do you need to break up into a 3-part laugh? You know, there's so many 3-part laughs in Guts. That used to be my worst fear in the entire world. My teenage virgin sister just thinking she's getting fat and then giving birth to a 2-headed retard baby. Beat. Let the laugh build. Both heads looking like me. Beat. Let the laugh build. Me, the uncle and the father.
So you'll go in and just work these out with your friends.
Work them out with my friends. And Tom Spanbauer, who taught me minimalist writing, was so evil. To sort of impress on us how boring we could be, he would book us readings at sports bars. And so we would be up there trying to read in front of 6 widescreen televisions all showing football. And people would go up there trying to read a great sentimental story about their niece dying of juvenile leukemia, and they would be weeping and shaking. And nobody would give a shit.
Right.
So you really had to write something.
In the same way that you should be able to walk in that sports bar with a good story and grab those guys and pull them in.
If I'm going to ask for their attention and their time, I've got to provide something that serves those people.
Now, you stayed in Portland even after you hit. You was with the same people. What is it about Portland? Everybody I meet from Portland is a little askew. They're a little different, I think, than the rest of the country.
Well, one reason is Portland's sort of a magnet for that. You know, the theory that has been put forward by Catherine Dunn, who wrote Geek Love, is she says all of the real oddballs, all the crackpots, escape to the West Coast. They dream of escaping to the West Coast. And the ones that really are the most disturbed find that the only city they can afford to live in is Portland because it's the cheapest West Coast city.
I hear that from everyone. Why so cheap there, do you know?
Because there are no jobs in Portland. There are the worst jobs, and so everyone works part-time. It is a slacker city.
Just everybody's pretty laid back, and everybody seems to have a band. Everybody I talk to from Portland has a band.
They have a band or they have a screenplay.
Chuck Palahniuk is in studio with us. He's going to be doing a reading tonight in New York City at the Strand at 828 Broadway. Tomorrow at the Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Massachusetts. And if you want to check out some more tour dates, you can go online to chuckpalahniuk.net.
Chuck, here's another thing that I love about your writing is that you do research into some really fun areas. You always give us something of the dark side of the New Age stuff. There's a dark side of corporate. Is this something that you got into before your writing, or did you obsess upon it, or want to know these things, or it's something that you do just for your books?
You know, I just love being with people. Yeah. And I sort of decided that if I was going to write in my free time while I was working a job that I really hated at Freightliner, then my writing time, my free time had to be a blast. So I was going to write at parties, and I was going to use writing as an ongoing excuse and permission to be with people. And so I sort of approach everybody as a spy who has something that I need to learn. And every week people are telling me things This week I was researching what happens when your water breaks just before you give birth. And a friend of mine was telling me that she was raised, and a lot of women were raised in the 60s and 70s to always carry a big jar of pickles with them in their last trimester. So the moment your water broke, no matter where you were at, you could drop this glass jar of pickles, and everyone would think that it was a pickle water on the floor and not your baby water. And it would sort of camouflage you, and you could walk away with your wet shoes, and they wouldn't know that your water had broken. And a lot of women will still carry a jar of pickles in their last trimester to disguise their water breaking. And so when somebody tells me something like that is part of the experience of a vast number of people, but not part of my experience,
right?
I am just so dazzled and amazed I have to use it. The other day, a friend of mine sort of shifted in her seat, and I said, "What's up?" And she said, "My tampon's gone sideways." I had no idea that would happen. It's like when your nuts get twisted and you have to sort of shift in some way that no one will notice.
Right.
She says, women, the tampon shifts sideways, and they got to sort of shift in their seat to get it back up and down again. Again, I had no idea. So it's these little aspects of human experience that are sort of secrets that I have to find out from people and make a book out of.
These are like little treasures that you just, you finally picked up a little piece of gold walking along the beach, huh?
Exactly, and a lot of people will be thrilled because they've never seen that aspect of the culture of their lives acknowledged in the culture. And a lot of people will be thrilled because they had no idea that thing even existed.
And again, you'll get into some of that stuff. I think you talked about hypnosis for sexual purposes. A little bit, was it Survivor that you were doing that in?
Choke.
In Choke, yeah. And I remember thinking, this could be a book itself. This is really, really wild. And I know for a fact it's done because I know some hypnotists who get way better looking women than they should have. Way better looking.
There are so many things in the world that you have no idea that are out there.
Right.
So, that's why I sort of never run out, because every time I sit down on an airplane, somebody will tell me something that I had no idea. Oh, here's a really good visceral one. Kid comes up at the end of one book event last year on tour. Very last person, midnight, hundreds and hundreds of people. And he brings a garbage bag of Polaroid pictures, hundreds of pictures, and he starts dealing them out like cards. And they're all these old people naked, asleep in these dirty-looking white-painted coffins. And I asked him, I said, what's up? And he says, this is my art project. And I said, but these naked old people, why are they all asleep? And he said, they're not asleep. He says, I work at the Fantasy Adult Unlimited, and these are all people who have died in our porno arcade. He says, I work behind the dildo counter, and we have to do an arcade check before shift change. And whenever I find somebody who's died in the arcade, I use the Polaroid we have for 86 people, and I take their picture before I call the paramedics. And these are all either old guys who have died jerking off to porn with all their pants on the floor, or they're sex workers who have died with a needle still in their arm from an overdose. And I am sitting here looking at dozens of these dead people in these dirty little porno booths. And now, like you said, I cannot close my eyes without seeing these same pictures for the rest of my life.
And I mean, to think that more people die like that than, let's say, shark attacks or hit by lightning, and that's stuff that we fear and think about all the time.
It is not the thing that you anticipate. It's always some very ordinary thing that's going to get you.
You enjoy some of the meetings, 12-step meetings that you'll go, and is that all part of your research as well? I know, you've kind of documented some of that stuff.
I am always looking for the context in which people tell really, really true, self-effacing, debasing, demeaning, true stories. Mm-hmm. Because it used to be that people would go to church to tell their worst selves. Church was the one safe place that you could go, and you could risk looking as bad as you had to look in order to tell a story and be forgiven and to be accepted back into your community. So every week you would go and you could say anything, and you would be forgiven and accepted back through communion. But now church is really the place you go to show off your new blank: coat, hat, shoes, kid. And the place that people go now to express their worst selves and to be forgiven are 12-step groups, support groups, writers' workshops, phone sex chat lines, all these places where people go and express the worst part of who they are so they can be forgiven and accepted back into the people that they live among.
So you'll go there with the intention of writing or the intention of sharing? Do you do this for yourself, even if you weren't going to write about it? Or
I would do it just to listen to people perform their stories.
Yeah.
Because they're not just telling something from their life, they're also trying to tell it in the most effective way. So they're doing a sort of performance that is really natural, but is based on a lot of very instinctual rhetorical devices. That whole sort of Paul Harvey way of waiting to create tension, to create expectation. Those Dr. Laura Schlesinger pauses that pull people in tighter and tighter until the big payoff at the end of the story. So you can study how people deliver their stories most effectively.
And the amazing thing, too, is, being at a meeting, if somebody just brings up something horrific, bing, boom, there's 3 more to follow it. Now it's okay to really get out there and lay stuff out.
The competitive nature of storytelling.
Isn't it really interesting that way?
It is interesting and it's wonderful. I love that, how people lobby and try to grab hold of the conversation. You know, they all have little introductory phrases. Oh, that reminds me. Or, oh yeah, that happened to me. Or they all have some way of acknowledging what's been said, but redirecting the conversation to themselves.
Yeah, it's amazing how powerful it can be, too, because you are not used to the truth. You go through life and you ask people how you doing, they say okay, or they ask you, you say okay, and none of it's real. None of it's real throughout most of your life.
And if I can bitch for a minute, which is a transitional phrase, if I can bitch for a minute here, it's because I think mass media in the last century has sort of stayed so much in the middle of the spectrum of human experience. It really hasn't expressed anything outside of a very narrow bandwidth of human experience that we've come to expect that that's what human experience is. It is not the really awful stuff. It is not the really wonderful stuff. It's always a sort of in-the-middle stuff that can be presented with soap commercials cut into it.
Right. Or, that is interesting. And then we all decide at the same time, oh, Tom Cruise has stepped out of the center, or the Dixie Chicks have stepped out of the center. And everybody seems to turn at the same time to say, you're no longer behaving properly for us. You brought up something that we don't want to hear anymore. So that makes you weird.
Yeah, and in a way, you can't sell the maximum amount of soap when you're not in the center.
But it never dawns on somebody, hey, let's see, Tom Cruise's religious beliefs sure seem weird. What about my own? At no point does anybody say every religious belief is pretty strange and pretty out of the ordinary.
It's just, we sort of pick our heroes, but we also pick our scapegoats in that same way.
Yeah. All right, we want to make sure we plug this. I want to have some time to take some calls here. I know you're running around doing a lot of stuff. If you got time to take some calls, it'd be great, Chuck.
Go for it.
Author Chuck Palahniuk is in studio. Haunted is in paperback now. He's going to be on tour starting tonight in New York at the Strand, 828 Broadway, and tomorrow at Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Massachusetts.
All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. We'll open up the phone lines for Chuck. Here's Kyle. Kyle, you're on with Chuck. Say hi.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Hey, thanks for having Chuck on.
Sure.
Chuck, how you doing?
Hey, is this Kyle McCormick?
No, it's not.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That'd be great if it was.
I would have fainted.
I've been to a few of your readings. I can't make this one, so I figured I'd ask my question, and you could send me the severed limb in the mail. Just wanted to know how the Writer's Workshop book is going.
The Writer's Workshop book. And that would be the book that's sort of based on the principles of minimalism that Tom taught me that I found most useful. And I've pretty much done my part of it, but just to make sure that Tom is acknowledged in this book, I've passed it on to Tom, and he's going to write the other half of it. So I'm hoping that he'll do that in the next 6 months, and we'll have the book out next year.
Now, how do you do it? It goes back and forth between you, or how are you doing it?
Well, I've done all of the principles that I can remember and really explain that he taught me. And I'm looking for him to sort of fill in the blank with all the rest of the stuff he knows. And then we'll do one last polish and bring it out.
Here's Ted. Ted, you're on Ron and Fez.
My name is Chucky, and I'm going to kill you.
Was that Chucky? I think that was Chucky. Here's Chip. Chip, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's going on, Ronnie?
Hey,
How are
buddy.
you?
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, big fan, man. I just wanted to ask you, you're so unique in your writing and your minimalist writing. What kind of role models did you have growing up? Writers did you read that helped you become who you are?
All right, Chip, we'll let Chuck get into that.
Role models growing up would be, because I started writing in grade school and wrote until I discovered marijuana and masturbation, and then gave it up until I was 31 years old. Gave up writing. But when I was little, the Ellery Queen books, because the Ellery Queen guys would give you all the clues, and you could figure them out if you were really paying attention. They didn't cheat you. And Ray Bradbury, I love Ray Bradbury books. And Stephen King. Yeah, all those horror books, especially the horror comic books. I just love those.
Have you had the chance to hang out with King? Have you had the chance to talk with him?
No, I wrote to him and he didn't write me back.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I just figure he's got a really busy life.
I would think that, the other thing that you share with King is that you'll get your books out there. You will keep writing. It's not the Gay Talese, I'll put out a book a decade. You're gonna hit him with 10 more books than what he'll come out with.
And part of that is trying to keep it from becoming a really precious thing, where you think, oh, this is the perfect book, this is the last book, this is the most important book, and you sort of get away from the joy of writing those stories and doing the work. You load it with too much power and significance, and it quits being fun for you.
And then when you get this feedback, I know you have your website gets tons of hits, right?
Actually, I just have fan sites. I really don't have a website.
Oh, the cult doesn't belong to you?
That belongs to Dennis Widmer.
Oh, I had no idea. So do you go to those and check out to see what people think? Or because now, since the Internet, it's like everybody, like in our business, it's like everybody is the producer of the show, where they think they know who should be booked and what everybody should be doing. I don't know if anybody ever gets as much feedback in history as people get now,
And that was sort of that's the metaphorical monster in Haunted, is that every era has a metaphorical monster. For a lot of people, Dracula was either syphilis or it was the Jewish migration from Eastern Europe. Those are both sort of the metaphorical vampire at the time. Frankenstein was maybe the Industrial Revolution. But I think the metaphorical monster of our time is the sort of complete breakdown of credibility, in that everyone can be a news outlet right now.
Right.
And the New York Times keeps fucking up, so they're not helping. And so, in a way, the sort of lack of meta-narrative, lack of overarching authority, and the fracturing of authority and reality is the sort of monster of our time. And the Internet has just made that so much worse.
It's funny because we all thought it was going to make it better, but because there's so many places, I don't think we're ever going to have another Beatles. I don't think there's ever going to be that thing that everybody listens to and it could change everybody's point of view at the same time.
And on the flip side, maybe we'll never have another Hitler.
Right, there you go, hopefully. Here is, let's go to Jim. Jim, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Chuck, I loved your book, Haunted. It's probably one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I went back and I read Choke after that, loved it just as much. Haunted just seemed to be so much different than Choke, and now I just started reading Diary, and it just seems like almost like they're from different authors. And I just wanted to know. I read a lot of reviews about Haunted, and a couple of stories about you reading it in front of people and people passing out and people kind of getting upset. And are those stories really true, or was that just like some media hype?
No, actually, there were a lot of people passing out and a lot of people getting upset, and especially in Italy, where they had an actor read it in Italian. Italian men, if they faint in public, are fantastically angry afterwards. And I just had to keep sort of reiterating, I've got 7 minutes to tell you folks a story. And if I can make you laugh and then make you sick and maybe make you faint in 7 minutes, then I've done my job. But that's a tough job.
He felt offended, like you stole his masculinity, I guess, by fainting?
Oh, my gosh, shaking, these men shaking their fists saying, did you read that story just to humiliate me?
Wow.
They take it very personally.
Is it odd for you to have your books translated to it? Do you worry that not everything is coming across the way that you would do it if you spoke Italian yourself?
No, not in the slightest.
Yeah.
There's writers that I know call me the kind of animal that eats its own children, because once a book is done, I really have no control over it, so I just quit worrying about it.
Yeah, I was wondering, I know Hollywood's pretty much interested in all your work at one place or another. Do you know of anything that's going to be released as a movie again? Or
the folks who made Constantine last year have bought my second book, Survivor, and I understand the screenplay is really good. The folks have Choke. They have a very good screenplay that they're starting to cast. I know that Susan Sarandon's cast as the mother at this point. She's under contract. Lullaby just got optioned, so it's in development. What else is there? Diary they have a screenplay and they're starting to cast. Invisible Monsters, they've had a screenplay for a long time. They keep casting it. The casting falls apart or the financing falls apart, but they're all in development somewhere. And
you're just happy to let go of that. You don't feel like, I want to write the screenplay myself, I want to be on set. Whatever happens, it's off on its own, and you feel like the book is what you wanted to tell.
Exactly, and I still have that beautiful young woman in Seattle coming up at the very end of a book event and saying that the first orgasm she ever had was with her little sister's Cookie Monster toothbrush. And that for years she thought the only way you could have an orgasm is with a Cookie Monster electric toothbrush. I've still got this enormous backlog of stories that people tell me. So I really don't want to take the time to go back and try to sort of retread something I've done before.
Every time you hear one of these stories, you're thinking to yourself, I got to get it into a book. That's your next thing.
The way my grandfather used to find junked cars or any sort of big rusting metal thing, if it was free, he had to take it. It's free, I have to take it home. And I have to do something with this. I can do something with this.
That's great. What are you reading tonight, do you know, or do you decide once you get there?
I'm going to read a story about a Chippendales dancer trying to hide the fact that he has epilepsy until it's too late.
And there's another true story that was told to you, or?
It's based on a bunch of true stories that all sort of go together. Same theme.
If you get the opportunity to see Chuck on this tour, you got to get out and do it.
Starts tonight at the Strand in New York City at 828 Broadway. Tomorrow, Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Massachusetts. And Haunted is now available in paperback.
Chuck, it was a pleasure to have you in today.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank Danny from O&A. I don't know whether you met him. He was the guy who made sure that he hooked it up to bring you by. It was a real pleasure to meet you, and best of luck with everything you do. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Ron and Fez.
Ron and Fez, XM 202.
Buddies. Ron and Fez show. How'd you like Chuck, Fez?
I really enjoyed Chuck Palahniuk.
You read any of the books?
No, but I have watched Fight Club.
If somebody put it to comic, would you do that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
There was talking about Fight Club being made into a Broadway play. Forgot to bring that up to him. We're having a fight club.
His name was Robert Paulson.
866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Well, Fezzy, finals are all set up. It's going to be the Mavs against the Heat. The Suns shit the bed. They get off this big lead. Just could not hold on to it. Earl, where are you standing in this game?
I like the Heat.
You like the Heat? Have you watched the Mavericks play, though?
Yes. I think...
you still think the Heat's going to win this one?
I think no one can beat that two-man game of Wade and Shaq. You can't stop it.
I cannot believe that going into this that the Mavericks are not going to be the favorite. I mean, look at the teams they had to go to get where they are. They beat all the good teams getting there. Who was the Heat beat?
Heat beat the Pistons. And
I don't mean literally, Fez. I mean, overall. Where were the teams playing that they went up against?
I think it's going to be the Heat take the championship, but I think it's going to go all 7 games.
It's a bold prediction, Fez. It's a bold prediction to predict one of these things will go 7. I got news for you. I don't think the Mavericks can be beaten this, but I will not be rooting for them. Why? November 22nd, 1963. That's why.
What happened then?
Let everybody else forget. I remember, even though I wasn't there. It doesn't leave me, Dallas. Doesn't leave me. You took away the dreams of a country, and now I'm supposed to sit there and root for this fucking Polish 7-footer shooting the ball from the outside? That's not going to happen. Where's Dirk really from, Earl?
I believe he was from Germany.
Same thing. Is there a difference? Is there a difference at all?
But I just think that Dwayne Wade might be, with the exception of LeBron, the best player in the NBA, and he's just going to will his team to a championship.
Dirk means nothing to you. Dwayne Wade dominates the game in a way that Dirk doesn't.
Well, the thing with the Mavs is when they lose a game, they lose it. They get
that's
completely blown out.
That's, except for if they're down by 18 and then they come back and blow the other team out. How do you look past a guy 7-footer shooting 3-point shots and scoring 50? That means nothing to you? Oh, I know why. Color of his skin. Smarter, I forgot.
No.
I forgot he was white. So this is a black-white situation.
Not at all. He's Dirk Nowitzki. He became a star.
You, my friend, are a reverse racist. Let me guess. He's the new Larry Bird?
No.
He's the new Pistol Pete Maravich?
Dirk's color is beyond white. I think he's light blue.
Now, Eastside Dave, and you do look like Dirk. You were with the Mavericks, and then you sold them out last week, and said that you switched to you switched around that day.
Oh, yeah, well, that was just for the East. But for the West, I've been Mavericks all the way. I mean, that was my prediction way before it all started.
Jumped off at one point as well. I can't follow you because you go back and forth. Who are you predicting for this?
Mavericks, 100%.
I'm sorry, what's your ethnic background?
I have part German in me. And
you're Irish Catholic, you redheaded bastard.
Oh,
does this mean anything to you? November 22nd, 1963. The nation mourns as Dallas kills the standing president. Who becomes the president then?
Lyndon Johnson.
What state's he from?
Texas.
It's a coup d'etat, my friend. A coup d'etat took place. And now suddenly I'm supposed to start wearing a Mavericks jersey and get behind them? That little boy was raised by a Greek shipping heir because of you, who I know mounted Jackie, who had to sit there while her husband's fucking head rolled off the back of that car. And now I'm going to root for Mavericks? Now I'm going to put on the blue jersey? It's not going to happen, Dave.
She tried to get out, but that Secret Serviceman put her back in.
She didn't try to get out. She was after his head.
Oh.
She went to get his head. That's what they actually said. You don't remember that story? You never read about that?
No, I had no idea she was chasing Skull.
Of course she wasn't, but that's what they later said because they couldn't say the First Lady in horror tried to climb out the back of a car and protect herself. They couldn't say that she yelled out, well, that's one down, why should I die? Which is what any human would have to go, you know what I heard her yell? Fuck the Mavericks. So she's climbing on the back of it. I hope no championship will ever come to this city.
Nation never recovered. It never recovered.
True.
This will be their first parade since if the Mavs win the championship.
Well, you forgot a little team called the Cowboys, Fez, with Tom Landry?
Oh, yeah.
Which was basically like having Nixon as your coach. I'm not even going to get into it. All right, so when do these games start?
Thursday, 8 o'clock. The NBA Finals kicks off on ABC.
Let's do this. Let's all get together and watch this game at a place where Dave can't find us.
That'll be easy enough.
That's not fun at all. Come on.
He'll be calling, though. That's the problem.
Fantastic Four.
I can't believe you're trying to sell German to us. Look at you.
I have like 10%, 15% German blood in me. I mean,
you're out of your mind. Have you ever looked in a mirror? You fucking look like Bono's dick. No one could look more Irish than you.
The weird thing is the red hair actually comes from the German side of my family, is what I'm told. That it comes from my dad's mom.
When you get the feeling to tell us about your family and going deep, stop.
Yeah, okay.
Just stop yourself.
All right.
Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies. You got to go with the Mavericks, man. They got the German version of Frank Sinatra supporting them, old David Hasselhoff.
What is Hasselhoff doing at these games anyway?
I think he's Dirk's ride.
Yeah, Nowitzki uses him for pregame material. He actually said that. He uses him to get motivated for the game.
Like the batch to him? What do you mean?
No, he uses his music to get motivated. That's like his. A lot of guys use Metallica or hardcore rap. Nowitzki uses Hasselhoff.
That can't possibly be true.
That's the truth.
Hey, Pinch, he said that he sings it to calm down at the foul line, whatever these songs are. Pinch, you're on Fez.
Buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, are you aware that El Jefe said he'll get a colonoscopy every day if the Mavs win the title? Because that's his team.
Win or lose? Why would he say a good thing?
He just wants them to win, so he said he's willing to go through that pain in order for the Mavs to win it.
Pain or excitement for him?
He's trying to reverse jinx himself. I know this move, being a jinx myself. He's trying to put something bad on himself so that he'll get the reward. So he's trying to outsmart superstition.
866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Cannot root for the city of Dallas. For me, it's like rooting for USC. I'm just not going to do it.
But, I mean, Nowitzki is such an exciting player.
Why won't I root for USC? Maybe you've heard of Bobby Kennedy, Fez. Maybe somewhere in the back of your mind you remember what happened. 1968, Sirhan.
Now on to Chicago. Never made it.
Bobby, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hiya, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronnie, man. Come on, man. I got your seat saved on the Mavericks bandwagon, man. Come on. Get over the whole JFK thing. Come on in for
I
the big
can
win.
never get over it, my friend. If anything, if they have a parade, I might go down and destroy it. I want them on the same parade route. That's what I'm after right now. Tommy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Tommy?
Is Eastside Dave pro Kennedy assassination?
It sounds like he is.
No, we have a picture of Kennedy in my kitchen.
Yeah, but you have the after picture, you sick son of a bitch.
That's
not
gross.
That's not a picture you should ever have hanging up in an eating area.
It just helps us to remember.
Picture through a scope.
Yeah, real fucking funny, Dave. You know something? I don't know if this is the place for you.
No, I do love JFK. But, you know, we can't hold an entire city responsible for the acts of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Sure. Who? That fucking Patsy? You're going to fall for that story? Here's Tony. Tony, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Fezzy the sports drinks didn't come through for the Buffalo Sabres. They lost in 7.
Yeah, he got to them already. He actually got to them very early on.
I was there. I tried to change it up to the Hurricanes, but it was too late. Too little, too late. And Buffalo's out of the NHL championship.
Well, Fez, remember I told you how the Vince Vaughn movie got such horrible reviews? I'm like, and I wanted to go there to say whether Jennifer Aniston was sexy or not. Because some people said sexy, but let's face it, she doesn't have sex appeal. She's pretty, but not sexy. And I'm like, well, the reviews are awful. I go 4 o'clock on a Saturday to view the film. Turned away. Sold out. This film does $38 million. A black comedy in the summer, it should tube, did $38 million.
Beats all the blockbusters that were already out. Da Vinci Code, X-Men, goes to number 1. I wonder if it's more Vince Vaughn or Jennifer Aniston that brought people in.
I don't even think it's close, Fez. I think it's double V. I think the person who's got the heat on this right now, Vince Vaughn. And he did every TV show over the past week.
Yeah, and he's been red hot every summer now. You know, Wedding Crashers did big business.
But you know what? He was on his own this time. He did not have the other big stars to lean on. This was a Vince Vaughn project. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Dodgeball, where he has Ben Stiller, or Wedding Crashers, where he has Owen Wilson. It's all Vince right now. I think he even produced this, too, didn't he? Or he helped write it or did something. The reviews, awful. The people showed up anyway. Now, I didn't see it. Anybody here say it?
I didn't see it.
I can't get in. I'm going to tell you right now, I could not get into the place.
I don't like their name, the Vaughniston. That's, another one of these new names. And
well, they're
not a fan of that.
Oh, they're not calling themselves that, just so you know. It's not like them saying, hey, I know, we'll be Vaughniston. Sometimes names are just stuck on you, like REO Speedwagon. Those guys never wanted that name. Here is Brett. Brett, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah, pal.
Want to pass on a little serious note to y'all. I don't know if you saw the news where those college students died from breathing the helium balloons, and not enough people are aware of it, Ron and Fez, that stuff is deadly. I've been in the gas business since I got out of high school.
We represent the lollipop kids, the lollipop kids, the lollipop kids. How much helium did they do? Because I've huffed helium plenty over the years.
They had to do a lot because the larger your lung capacity, the more you can take. But they obviously did enough to where it displaced all the oxygen out of their lungs. It's super deadly for little kids, and I'm telling you straight up. Don't ever, when you have family birthday parties for the little ones, nieces, nephews, don't let them do it because
my dad and my uncles taught me to do that. They're like, go ahead, open the balloon up. It'll be hysterical.
Yep, what'll happen is you're standing there and your niece has the party hat on, having fun, and gets a big snort of that helium, and if it pulls enough oxygen out of her lungs, she's going to drop dead right there, Ron. It's really serious.
I have no idea. Now, what about nitrous? If you're...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can that kill you?
Oh, you bet. You bet. We sell the nitrous for the race cars, but we don't sell the true medical grade. We sell what's called Nitrous Plus, which has a phosphorus additive to it, which does not change the effect of the nitrous on the motor, but it puts out a stench like rotten eggs. And if you try to smell it or try to sniff it and breathe it in, you will be sick for days and wish you'd never done it. It's really bad.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I had this friend who was working for a medical company, and if it would be like hospice, he would be the person that would come to your house, drop off the bed. After the person died, he would come back and pick it up, right? So he was able to... luckily find some things that people died and left behind. There's a medical morphine that you have to be very careful with, that it's in between really great and really dead. And also, so he's driving this medical stuff around before. So he looks behind him in this truck. He's got a big thing of nitrous behind him, right? Big fucking tank of nitrous as he's driving the truck down the street. Now, this is in August in the city of Philadelphia. So he's driving it down the street and says, why not help myself? Who's to hurt? Gets the fucking gas mask. As he's driving, he pops it on his fucking face. He starts breathing in. He's enjoying himself as he's going down the street. I guess it was on a little too high, whatever. He passes out and drives directly into a telephone pole. As he does this, the crash causes some of the tanks to explode and leave the back of the truck. One of them, as it explodes, and I don't know what kind of gas this was, freezes the moment it hits the atmosphere. So he crashes the car, crashes the truck, these tanks go out, hit the street, they explode. Suddenly there's ice across the road as if Mr. Freeze had turned on his freeze gun. So as people are driving in August, they hit black ice and they start ramming into each other. Cops pull up, they see ice all over the road, crashed cars, and this asshole with a fucking gas mask of fucking nitrous on his fucking face. This makes the news. It actually made the news. As it comes on, I'm sitting next to my dad, and my friend's name pops up. It's this nightmare, and he's going, you're really doing well for yourself, huh? Seriously, this is the fucking crowd you hang out with. And I'm like, accidents happen. He had a gas mask pumping nitrous into
should have told that to Chuck Palahniuk.
I'm not going to give him my story. I'm not writing my own book. What am I going to make fucking Chuck richer?
Yeah, I'll go
What's
see
he
your...
need, another bag of money that he can sit on and deal with?
Put him down. I want the book.
You don't read. I'll look at you.
I don't really.
Not with those eyes.
I don't.
Here is Ryan. Ryan, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Yeah.
Hey, I went and saw The Breakup this weekend. My wife made me go see it.
Yeah?
Fantastic movie. You know what? Those reviewers are all bogus. You go to Rotten Tomatoes and you see that professional reviewers give it 1 grade, but the people that go see it the real average Joe. I mean, the movie was funny. I got a kick out of it, so I highly recommend it.
I'm going to give it a shot, but I have I did go to Rotten Tomatoes, and I mean, occasionally there are movies that are going to get some bad reviews from good people, like the New York Times or whatever is going to hammer a film, and you're saying, well, I don't care what they say. But when it starts to be 83% of the reviews saying this thing stinks, it would be rare for me to see, people generally have a sense of humor and are going to be able to say, even though the film doesn't make a lot of sense to me, there's some laughs in it.
The past 2 weeks, the big releases have gotten panned by the critics and opened up to just huge numbers where people are like, I don't care, I'm going anyway.
I don't think a lot of people read the critics anyhow. Darren, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, that gas that released that froze up, that was CO2. It's like the oxygen, carbon dioxide.
Yeah, it's so anyway, in the middle of August it causes this slick ice all over the road, and not good for anybody.
You really need a co-pilot if you're going to go on a nitrous run like that. President Bush...
God is his co-pilot, my friend, especially now since he's no longer with us. You know what killed him? Out of all the things we ever did in our life, bad fish.
What kind? Cod?
Don't know what it was. I think it was a fish that he had bought on the street from a fishmonger. Took it home, cooked it up, was dead no time later.
That's why you have to salt fish. That's what they teach you.
Salt it? How's that help you?
Because the salt, if you salt the fish, you're less likely to die of food poisoning or something. Because fish is the quickest food to turn bad.
Yeah, I understand that, but how's salt going to help you? You mean you get the fish put on your plate. You throw more salt on it. You're not going to get food poisoning.
Yes, the salt takes away from killing you somehow.
All right, hold on. Salt is the beater of poison. So if I find out, Earl's been poisoned, no worry, I got a salt tablet for him. This is all news to me.
No, you have to put it on with the food. They used to do that in the Middle Ages because they didn't have refrigerators. Well, they would salt their food.
Before, they would salt it while it was still fresh to keep it fresh. But if it's already spoiled, how's some extra salt going to help you? If you eat bad fish, you eat bad fish, right?
Yeah. I have to think about that, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right with what I say.
Well, I'm trying to find out how. Well, how is salt going to stop this from happening? If it does, I'll salt everything down.
I just think there's something in the salt's elements. Like salt is an element of the earth, and there's some kind of nutrients that it has.
But the way you're talking about salted meats, like they used to do before, Columbus left,
right.
That had to happen while the food was still fresh, right?
Yeah.
You can't take a spoiled piece of meat, throw some salt on it, and everything's safe. Let's just throw it in the fire. Am I right or wrong? I mean, I want to learn these things.
I'm going to look it up with more depth.
Look it up where?
Wikipedia.
Where are you going? Wikipedia. Here's Jeff. Jeff, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Dave's got a brilliant observation. I've heard, though, that pepper actually counteracts the salt, so it takes away from its anti-venom properties.
Yeah.
So when you salt and pepper a fish, it balances it out, and you could still die from the original food poisoning.
All right.
I've never heard that, though.
He's being silly. He's going, look, Dave's saying something stupid, so I'm going to hop in, too. Jason, you're on Ron and Fez.
Dave, how much of a fucking moron can you be? Salt kills poison. Yeah, okie dokie.
That's from the Middle Ages. I mean, it's pretty common knowledge.
Would salt meat and pork, you fucking tard, but it doesn't kill poison, it's fresh. They dry it out with salt, and it becomes dried, like jerky.
Not from the stories I've heard.
What stories?
King Arthur.
You see, you have nothing, right?
No,
you brought something up on the air, again, that you weren't sure about, and the second you're called on it, you don't give up, but you have no way of defending and saying, well, I think I'm right.
Well, I don't have the actual facts in front of me, but I'm telling you, if I could look up some of the information.
You're saying that Fez and I, if I gave Fez some bad fish, it's already spoiled.
Yeah.
It's rancid. Say, Fez, I fried this up for you. Salt it good, so you'll be safe. He'll be okay.
Yes, that is what I'm saying, and that's legitimate.
Can't happen.
I'd be dead in days.
It can't happen, or all we would be doing is eating bad food and salting it more. It never happens.
No, I mean, there's really not a marketplace for bad food. I mean, it's not going to taste as good, bad food.
But I know there's not a market for it because you're not starving. If you were in a situation where it was bad, and let's say you're on an island or something, a desert island, you're just salting everything.
Can I just tell you, one time, you know how sometimes you can buy chicken at the supermarket and it already has barbecue sauce on already, but it's not cooked. I took the chicken out of the bag, and I had been drunk a little bit, and I put salt all over it, but I just was going to eat it cold because I thought it had been cooked because there was barbecue sauce on it already. And I ate it right straight out of the bag, the chicken with barbecue sauce on it and salt.
How many bites?
Without eating it. How many bites? I ate like 5 or 6 legs.
All right, so
I didn't die.
Are so drunk you don't know that you're eating raw fucking chicken. No. That's how. This is the alcohol problem you have. You ate a raw chicken like a wolf, and now you're acting like you salted it so you're fine.
Well, I was confused because the barbecue sauce was on it, and I would think, why would they put barbecue sauce on it unless it was already cooked? So, but anyway, I put the barbecue. I salted it, and I'm still alive. I'm still here. So there you go. Hence my salt theory.
Maybe this stuff wasn't bad. Maybe it wasn't a spoiled thing, and maybe you just shit it out. How do I know?
Yeah.
I have no idea whether you're right or wrong. I've just never heard your theory before.
Right.
Salt spoiled food, and you're fine. Mike, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to call Dave out for being a fucking idiot. Hey, I'm a chemical engineer, and first of all, Dave, salt is not an element. It is made up of 2 elements, sodium and chloride. It's NaCl. And second of all, salt sucks the water out of the meat, thereby drying it out, and it's also an antimicrobial. Once the food is spoiled, you can't fix it.
That's
you
it,
have
Dave.
To put it on fresh meat.
It's got to go on fresh.
That scientific jargon was way too technical.
What he said that salt sucks the water out of it.
Yeah.
You know how you suck the oxygen out of the studio when you come in?
Okay.
Or you suck the comedy out of the show.
Right.
And you fill it with what? Annoyance.
Yes.
That's what happens. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Do you want us to call you salty?
No. I don't know. I mean, I don't see what a technical engineer has to do with salt. Those people, they're usually around machines and not about, elements.
He's not a fucking train engineer. Hey, Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Eastside, you do make a point. They did salt everything, before they had refrigerators back then. But wasn't their life expectancy like 23 years old?
It was only, since they had nothing, it felt longer. If I was born in those times, I'm just like, please, someone grab an arrow and shoot me. I am done with the Middle Ages.
Well, they didn't have medicine. I'm not sure if you can blame that on their diet, their life expectancy, that is.
Yeah, I would blame it on all the bad things that happen. Here is TJ. TJ, you're on Ron and Fez.
First thing, I think we should get meat that is proven to be deadly and cook it for Dave and let him salt it and see what happens.
You know what? I would like to see this liar eat 6 raw chicken legs the way he claims that he can.
Bring it on.
What? I didn't even see you finish the power hour. You are a guy who doesn't finish anything.
I'll eat the chickens as long as there's barbecue sauce on them. Mm-hmm. It's going to be good. Now, I mean, I may have a stomach ache the next day. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I will eat that if you guys would like.
Mike, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, did you know that oregano cures AIDS?
It's really true. Why do we even have hospitals? We have the Food Network. Your mom has cancer. Let her go pick up some cinnamon from Emerald Lagasse. It doesn't make sense, the things you say.
That one wasn't true.
And this is another loss for Team Watley. Extending this loss now to 45 straight days.
Oh. I don't see a win on the horizon.
I like to see at least, guys. I like to see you pass Joe D. I like to see you break the record. Knock it down a little bit.
I'd like to be in the game before the show even starts, Eastside.
Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys. I got to say, you and Fezzy are geniuses because come raise time, all you're going to have to do is play Eastside Dave talking and say, either we commit you or you work for free.
Do you get paid, Dave?
Yeah. I have a nice little salary.
I consider you the biggest thief in America right now. I consider you a master thief like no other.
I don't see why.
You couldn't steal money better than if you fucking climbed up on the outside of this building and broke in a vault. You would not be able to pull it off better than the fact you can walk in through the front door wearing a knapsack like an 8-year-old and then leave here with a check. It is amazing to me.
That's my book bag, Mr. B, not my knapsack. My book bag. And I saw a man in a suit wearing a book bag last Friday.
Did you make out with him? Hey, David, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good. Just want to make a comment to Dave. Dave, like, man, if you're eating this chicken stuff, right, it's terrible. Like, I really want to hear you guys do this to him on the air with the chicken legs. And up here in Halifax, my family are local fishermen and that, and we salt cod and fish and herring and all that stuff. We eat it after the fact, but we still cook it. Like, this stuff doesn't cure stuff. It just keeps it longer.
Yeah, and you have to salt it while it's still fresh, not long after as it's been laying on the beach. Or you'd be able to just walk along the beach, pick up fish, throw it in a frying pan, and hit it with a ton of salt, and you'd be fine.
There you go, right. It's just not healthy. It's just not, chicken, same thing. Actually be worse with chicken because you're going to get the salmonella right off the bat. And speaking from experience, I had salmonella from turkey and was very, very ill. And that was cooked, apparently, right? But to eat raw chicken, man, you're not going to be walking for a month if you live through it.
I don't even believe any story he tells us.
First of all, I won't say that I wasn't a little ill, but I definitely didn't die.
You said you weren't ill at all. Is the way it started.
Now that I think about it, I had a stomach ache.
I mean, how drunk have you ever been that you could sit there and chew on a raw chicken leg and not realize this is something bad?
It tasted like cooked chicken because of the barbecue sauce. I can't impress upon you guys that.
Hold on, I'm looking into right behind Earl. Is that Ben Affleck? Is Ben Affleck standing right behind Earl right now?
It does. That's Ben Affleck.
That's Matt.
Matt Damon?
No, that's Matt, our new intern.
Our new intern, he looks just like Ben Affleck. So, Dave, I don't believe anything that you say. I honestly don't. Here's Al. Al, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was just going to say that I've been a chef used to be a chef for 12 years, and salt will never take away anything, all the bacteria that's in that. You get sick no matter what.
How, what type of restaurant did you work at?
It doesn't matter. They
were decent restaurants.
It doesn't matter what kind of...
He sounds like a diner chef.
This is science. You can't take away poison with salt. Well, you just now realize that you said something that you had no proof of. You had nothing about. You heard the term salted meats, so you thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But you don't know any of this stuff is fact.
Again, Mr. B, it's just I'm a pretty well-read person, or I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read so much anymore. But
since you got out of the primer?
And when I used to read, those are things that I heard.
Here's the two things that you like to do. You like to salt uncooked chicken, and then you said you have a reason that you put peanut butter on your dog's dick. What was that again? I never really got to the end of that story.
It was peanut butter on my dick. It was so that the dog might lick a little bit.
Rub the raw chicken on there, or some salt.
All right, here's your buddy, the Radio Shark. Hey, Shark.
Oh, the only thing that's going to happen if you eat a salted deadly fish is you're going to die thirsty.
Shark.
I'm dying.
Shark.
And I'm poised.
Why the fucking call during Chuck today? Why would you bother us during Chuck?
Excuse me?
Why would you bother us during Chuck today?
Who?
You.
Wasn't me.
It was you.
I just got in now. I just put the show on now.
Bullshit, liar. You're a goddamn liar.
Everything on this show.
You're a goddamn liar.
I am
You played the crazy fucking Chucky thing, thinking that was somehow funny.
Chucky thing? What did it sound like?
Oh, you go ahead and play it again. Go and play it again, you son of a bitch.
Chucky what?
Play it again.
I play what? You describe it for me. What did it sound like?
It sounded like one of your hack bits. Shark?
One of my hack bits.
Yeah.
All my bits are hacked. Well, it wasn't me. It was somebody else.
I'm sorry. Your stuff is cutting edge. You're fucking Lenny Bruce. Excuse me. Playing sounders at people is being Lenny Bruce. All right, we'll talk to you later, buddy.
I don't know who's a worse liar, the Radio Shark or Salty Eastside Dave over here.
One lies, the other swears to it. I'm telling you that right now. Those two, they're thicker than thieves. You know what? Why don't you write a book? Go how to be less than incompetent and still pick up a check.
Okay. That'll be my breakout. I could do that.
I mean, every time it's payday, you got to be thinking to yourself, I'm going to get caught. I'm going to get caught cashing this check. I like to see you attempt to cash that check and the FBI just come into the bank and take you out.
He must have to put a ski mask on it to do it.
On the check?
Not himself.
Hey, Ray, you're on Ron and Fez.
What we say, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Eastside. I've got an interesting salt property for you. The next time you go down on West Side, sprinkle a little bit of that on there and make it taste more like cock for you.
It actually takes the chef residue away.
How would I
keep
how
it
would,
fresh again?
How would Ray know what cock tastes like? See?
What's that?
How would have Ray known the flavor of cock?
Do you?
No, I didn't know that it was salty. I know that jism is a little bit, but not the actual cock.
You've actually done your own or others?
I tasted some pre-cum from time to time.
Earl, come back!
Did you put it on your uncooked chicken? And you want to replace Mikey D? It ain't going to happen. You are not going to be in the crankcase.
That's a real rock and roller. Uncooked chicken, some pre-jizz.
You're filthy. Hey, Mikey D wrote a letter. He wants Blackie Huge Hands to come in on Friday. What do you guys think?
Fine with
enough
me.
time? When I say you guys, I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
I'm talking about to the permanent members of the show.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm talking to the winner from Team Bennington, Earl, who will always be with us, and my partner, Fez.
Okay.
Who, as long as the stent holds out, is more than welcome to come in here.
We are not here Friday. We have a short porch this week.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I had no idea that. What's the occasion? Christmas?
No, it's the stent. Going to get the stent checked.
Oh, gonna go get everything looked at?
Yeah, I got a day worth of testing where they put the nuclear IV into me.
I had no idea. So I get off too?
Uh-huh.
Nice. We'll run into some complications. All right, so let's just tell her yes. Have her show up and she can sit here and interact with the best stuff. Is everything okay there, Fez?
That's what they're going to check. Right now, everything seems to be fine.
Uh-huh.
So I start tests Thursday after the show, and then Friday morning I show up and do tests in the morning, tests in the afternoon.
Let me say a quick prayer. Jesus, if you're going to take him fast. Take him directly to pie heaven and let him eat all he wants. I know he misses it so.
All right, I like the pie heaven part, but the take him fast part, scary.
Take him slow. Let him suffer, Lord. Let him suffer. He needs time to say goodbye to everybody.
No, long life. That's what you want.
Fez, I can't get a miracle. All I can do is get something quick.
Nice long life.
Just do this. Salt that food of yours and you'll be fine. Like they did in the Middle Ages.
I said prayer for you yesterday in church.
I say a little prayer for you. What was the prayer? That I wouldn't kill you?
No, it was in church before we start the congregational prayer. The minister says he always gives everyone a theme to do silent prayer with first before we start, so we're all on the same wavelength. So he said, pick someone that you want God to bless. He said, and concentrate on them during silent prayer. And he goes, then, for this to work, kind of like a chain letter, he goes, you have to go tell that person that you prayed for them today in church, so they'll be doubly blessed.
Wow.
You're doubly blessed.
Well, let me tell you, Fez, when I was back in seminary school, there was a person there who put forth the proposition that you could petition the Lord with prayer. Petition the Lord with prayer. Petition the Lord with prayer. You cannot petition the Lord with prayer. Anyway, that's the way I got it.
Oh. We were told different yesterday.
Sorry.
Didn't think of playing the song?
No, didn't fire. Oh, here it is.
When I was back there,
turn it up. You missed your opportunity. Right?
There was a person.
Luckily for you, after that fucking stunt, you have such a big lead over over Dave telling the listeners to salt up some hot chicken and they're fine.
I hit it and nothing happened. I was so.
You need to be on top of it, bro. Can I tell you something right now? This has become Dave's show 2006, and it's off the fucking rails. Today we're off the rails. Michael, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, that's what I asked Dave. If his theory holds up, then how the fuck does seafood ever go bad? It's in salt water.
Well, but it's taken out of the salt water. You don't eat lobster in the ocean.
Who doesn't? Ask that to a porpoise. They'll fucking tell you differently, my friend. They'll tell you differently.
Al Gore says he has no plans to be a candidate for president again. He says, I don't expect to ever be a candidate for president
I don't
again.
expect it either. I know a lot of people do. I don't think he has any plans at all.
He really seems to be fine without being part of the political machine.
I think it's just the opposite. I think he was hurt so bad that he doesn't want to come back. I can't imagine what his disappointment was like, where he literally thought he won and then he didn't.
Yeah, he did have that time right after the election, the 2000 election, where he got very heavy set, started growing the depression beard, that sort of thing. So now he seems to be back and, happy doing what he's doing.
I don't know if he is or not, but I believe him that he's not going to run again. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think he's keeping it in the back of his mind.
Well, then he's a liar.
President Bush, he's backed in a resolution to amend the Constitution to define marriage as a union between a man and a woman, even though this has very little chance of passing in the Senate when they start debating it today.
Well, thank God he's on top of it. That's what we really need. That's what our biggest problem is right now, is gay guys getting married.
That is his ace up his sleeve. When everything else goes wrong, he can pull out that gay marriage card.
Hey, John, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Eastside Dave, he actually sucked 6 raw cocks covered with barbecue sauce?
No, I don't think it was that kind of cock. I think he meant a chicken.
He calls them drumsticks.
Stoney, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Eastside Dave for making me look like a total fucking psychopath at the intersection yelling at my radio. I have never heard such a moron.
Yeah, it is really tough to deal with sometimes. It really is.
Oh, my God. Oh, God. The pre-com? Come on, Dave.
You know, when you even look at the fact that they would take salted meats out on a boat and attempt to sail across the ocean. I mean, how insane were they?
Oh, yeah, to think this is all we'll need. This is our supplies.
But, you know, even now, go back and watch, like, the Discovery Channel when they have the trips to the moon and see that they were doing that with no computers. And you were like, all these switches one after another. And you just want to say, guys, wait, if you'll just give it 20, 30 years, it's going to be better. What is your hurry to get up there with this stuff? What do you think people like 100 years from now are going to look back and this age is going to seem crazy for something?
I think it's going to be something like traffic jams, where it's like, you know, these people, it took them like hours to get to work, and they were locked in these cars.
How do you think they're going to do it then in the future?
I think there'll be some sort of mass transit that people get on board with, and it's like really super fast, that sort of thing, in 100 years.
What sort of thing are you talking about now, Fez? Are you saying like a train, like a super train?
Like a super train, even if they're like, you know, find like a Star Trek transporter or something?
I don't see a Star Trek transporter, but you would still have the same problem of how do you get from the train station a couple miles over to the houses. The problem with the suburbs is not getting from the city to the suburbs, but from getting to any station back home.
I think it's going to be telephones. Just like the standard telephone.
Isn't it weird now if you watch something from the 90s to see how big a cell phone is? It looks like they got a loaf of bread up to their head. I was just watching this film the other day from 1996, and it just felt like today until they answer their phone. And it's just this big, long thing, like the size of a pant leg up against their head.
Look like a brick.
I think in the future, people are going to look back on the way we operate on people as just like, this was your way of dealing, taking a knife, cutting it into the body, and slicing it, not healing it from inside.
Yeah, any sort of needle or anything like that is going to look really barbaric.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you just think of, you know, cracking open a chest or the skull and taking metal and poking around in the brain, they're going to think we're out of our minds.
Like, even now, like when they do knee surgeries now, I had a friend of mine who had like the last of the old knee surgeries where they just basically sliced the knee open and saw what was there. Now they have lasers and you're on a bike pretty much
but, you know, even
the same day.
Yeah, before this, though, I mean, they're talking about, like, you take this pill and there'll be these little machines inside of it that'll go in to the heart that knows where to go from that point on. So you're not even going to have even a laser enter your body.
Wasn't that movie was a Fantastic Voyage?
Now you're talking with the great Raquel Welch.
Where they shot it's like a little pill inside the guy, and
and then what happened?
They tried to work from within.
Yeah.
And
what happened? They got all fucked up from the antibodies. They had to go on the run in the body, finally get out the tear duct. God damn, I was screaming like that when I saw that on TV when I was little. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. We got a friend of Earl's coming in a little bit. Vernon Reed. He is the guitar player. Well, what is his new band played?
His other band, Mask, is coming to town. They're going to be at the Canal Room on July 7th. His new album's called, it's right here in front of me, Other True Self, and he's going to be coming in to hang out with us a little bit.
But you know him mainly as the guitar player for Living Colour.
Yes.
And Guitar God, would he be thrown in with that, Earl?
Probably.
One of the real big guys, right, of the 80s?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the last of the real true guitar heroes. There aren't that many left, and he is. I always call him the fastest hands in the West because he's just unbelievable guitar
Even
player.
though he lives in the East?
Yes.
No.
Might want to switch that up. I think 100 years from now, in like a home convenience thing, the way we, have to wait for the washing machine to finish washing clothes and then drying them and everything and ironing them, I think in 100 years, something like that will be looked back, like we look back at washing clothes on a rock in a river.
How are they going to do it, though?
I think that, the water process will be taken completely out of it, where it's some sort of, thing you spray on clothes or, you microwave them to disinfect them, something like that.
That used to be my theory. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. I only pointed out Fez because of the internet and these things hanging around. Jeremy, you're on Ron and Fez.
What's up, Ronnie? $2.
Hey, what's happening, pal?
What you're talking about is called nanotechnology, where machines are going to have parts the size of atoms.
It's going to be really weird. I mean, as scary as that would be, nothing can be worse than having surgery and knowing that you're going to be cut into. That is the bizarre thing.
They already have a motor right now it's a nano inch, and it'll actually run on its own, like in a circle.
All right, thank you very much. I haven't seen the toilet take a leap ahead in 100 years either. Something has got to give there. I mean, I can't believe people in the future want to be unrolling paper and rubbing it across their ass. We've got to be able to put up something better than that. It's embarrassing.
All we work on is trying to make the paper softer.
The great Dean Malenko. How are you, Dean?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
You guys are talking about two different... You guys watch TV and movies too much. You're talking about the Jetsons. Fezzi's talking about the Jetsons with the washing machine, and you're talking about inner space over here.
Yeah, so? We're talking about the future.
Hey, Dave. Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's happening, gentlemen?
Yeah.
I think Dave might be right. He might be right about that whole salt thing. I'd say we give it a shot. Put a couple pieces of chicken out for, 3 or 4 days, let him throw a little salt on it, and go to town. See what happens.
I would let him do that, but then if he dies, I got to answer to XM about your feeding raw poultry to your producers. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Ron and Fez Show.
Ron Bennington, Fez Watley, The Ron and Fez Show. XM 202.
Yeah, Ron and Fez Show. I know we were on a short week.
Chris Daughtry says he said Saturday he's turned down an offer to be the lead singer for the band Fuel. Says he wants to do his own thing.
Which is really funny because when you think about it, if this kid would have got the offer to do this 6-8 months ago, he would have leapt on it. It would have been like a dream come true for him. And now he's in the position to go, I'd rather roll the dice.
I'm sorry, Fuel. No thank you. Thank you, but no thank you. I think it's a mistake. Take the Fuel gig.
Who needs two more, Fezzi? To go out and do a single act of your own when you've just had 40 million fans, or Fuel, where really it seems like you've had your run and now they're looking to see what they can do. I mean, was Fuel going to have another hit without him?
No.
Thank you. Were they going to sell out big tours without him?
No.
So who needs who more? They should say, look, we will back you up and let this become Chris Daughtry and Fuel. You go do your single thing, and we'll just tour around you. What do you think, Earl?
I think he's making the right move. I think he's got enough heat on himself. He could put his own package together, and time is of the essence because you have to do it very quickly because that window is very small. But why not go for it on your own?
But here's the thing. He did not win. He didn't even finish second. He finished like fourth or something, right?
Yeah.
So you look at this. He's got a tour all year. He's got a tour up until September. Then how long is it going to take him to cut an album?
Anywhere between 3 to 6 months.
I would not. I'd go faster than that. I'd be cutting the fastest fucking album since Jerry Lee Lewis. It'd be one of those things where you go in at 6 o'clock and you leave at 5 o'clock at night with 5 or 6 songs.
I think the first Led Zeppelin album was done in like 30 hours. It was done a whole album in a day.
You know, and does anybody ever bitch and go, I wish I had more time with that?
Nope.
Sometimes I think these people hang around in the studio too much. Lay that shit down and get out. Get in and get out.
No, absolutely. The whole deal with taking I remember Fleetwood Mac took years to do a record. Why? What is going on in a year to make a record?
Let me tell you something. Fuel doesn't have a lead singer. And that's because there was no more money to go around. That's why you break up the band. They didn't break up for any other reason. It just wasn't happening right now.
If Fuel can't get Chris Daughtry, they ought to go back to the season before and try to get that Constantine.
Please.
If they're looking to American Idol for their lead singer.
You don't feel like Constantine's heat is over already?
Oh, I think it's beyond over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was over the day Ace Young showed up. ABC World News Tonight anchor Elizabeth Vargas, she's taken some heat from women activists who say she shouldn't have resigned her anchor job with ABC after becoming pregnant. And they said if she was forced out of the job for Charlie Gibson to take it, then she should be vocally complaining about it. So it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things.
You don't think you don't think she was pushed out?
I think she was totally pushed out.
Yeah, why would you give up that gig? What sense at all would it make for you? Not that she was a big name, but she was there. It was hers.
She was the anchor woman. She was World News Tonight with Bob Woodruff and Elizabeth Vargas. I think they were still keeping Woodruff's name on it.
Well, he only lasted how long before he got hurt?
I think he had that gig a month.
That's all?
Yeah, before he got hurt in Iraq. Yeah, and the way they would do it is sometimes she would go out on assignment and he'd be in the studio and vice versa. So now she's going to be pregnant, she's going to leave, and when she's done with her pregnancy leave, she goes to 2020.
Yeah, I think it's a real step down, and I think she should have done something about it. I don't think it worked out well for her. I don't think it was in her best interest.
Tomorrow is 666 Day, June 6, 2006.
Is that right, 666?
Yep. I'm more than a little nervous.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that just really unnerves me. I don't like it when it's a Friday the 13th. This feels like a really, really big Friday the 13th day.
I'm not betting on it because there's never any of the legends that said that this day is when anything bad could happen.
Right, it's just the beast, the Antichrist, is supposed to have this mark on him.
And I think Mikey D even sent this to me. In the first omen, it was June 6th and 6 minutes or something. It was never, or the 6th hour or something. So it's like, if you really think about it, we hit 666 all the time. Because this is really 6606, not 666.
Yeah, I'm still going to be looking up at the skies, see if there's any sort of damnation or apocalypse coming.
So you think that the devil is up in the sky and not down in the center of the earth?
Well, that's where you would be coming from if the apocalypse was upon us.
From the sky?
Yeah.
So the devil comes from the apocalypse. I always thought that it was something else, like Jesus was coming back but in a bad mood.
Yeah, first that all these other things have to happen, like there's supposed to be, I think, a beast out of the air and a beast out of the water as well. So we're just getting hit on all our damn elements.
See, I don't know how it works. So you think that could happen tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, you bet it. Put some money where your mouth is. They get $1,000 that says tomorrow's not the apocalypse.
That's a bet where if I win, I still lose.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you like to have an extra $1,000 when the apocalypse hits? You'll have a little extra running around money.
And then I think the tribulation starts, where we have 7 bad years.
I'll give you to midnight. I will give you to midnight tomorrow if the devil shows up. So you did a big church move on Sunday, huh?
Yeah.
Looks like somebody's having a stent test.
Yeah, might as well.
Trying to get back in good?
Cover all my bases. Might as well check everything out. Get the soul looked at while I'm getting the stent looked at.
So what was this prayer you did for me? Because I haven't felt any different.
Oh, it was just think of someone that you want God's blessings on.
Is that because I'm your partner and when I get blessed, so do you?
Well, I guess so. Sure, I guess that's part of it.
So you basically gave yourself, because nothing's going to happen business-wise for me that you don't get half of. So I consider that you really going out of your way to just give the blessing to yourself.
But I was thinking, who's my best pal? Who would I really want this blessing going toward?
Your best pal is Eastside Dave.
That is not my best pal.
Sure it is.
You're my best pal.
Oh, jeez. Why would you do that to me, Schleprock? Hey, Beth, you're on Ron and Fez.
I was thinking about that mark of the beast thing. Wouldn't, in ancient times, wouldn't that have been Roman numerals? So wouldn't it be VI, VI, VI?
Yeah, that is a good point, Fezzy. Were they using Arabic numerals back then?
I don't know what that was written in. I would say it was probably Latin, yeah. I think it would have to be.
So that would not be 666. The way that they always show us in the movies. Because I always think it could have been a 999 anyway. I think we've got it upside down.
It all depends on how you look at the kid's head, I guess.
866. Oh, my God. 766. Zero Devil. 866-7660 Devil. Or 866 Ron Zero Fez is the way it goes.
That's got way too many sixes in it for me to feel comfortable.
Brian, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ron?
Yeah.
Fez? Hey, what's up, guys? I got a question, because I'm Jewish. If the apocalypse comes, does it affect everyone, or just the Christians, or what?
It'll just be the Christians. Why should anybody else be caught up in it?
I don't know. I just didn't know if, everyone was just going to go crazy and just kill everybody, or us Jews are just going to hang back like Christmas and go to the movies.
I think there's supposed to be some Jews converted through all this.
I thought they were the chosen people. They didn't have to convert.
That's the contradiction of the Bible, where this is this to them will be a Jesus coming, and this time they'll believe it.
Thanks, buddy. Here is Dave. Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Fezzy, it's already 666 in half the world, man, and we're all here.
Have we gotten any reports in?
I don't think so, man. We're all here.
Is Australia burning or anything?
The apocalypse.
Hey, Boston Strangler, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies, how's it going? I just want to wish Fezzy a happy AIDS Day, World AIDS Day.
Is today AIDS Day?
Today is AIDS Day.
It's the 25th anniversary of the AIDS virus.
And also, I want to give a little plug to the wonderful website, fullblownaids.com, because that's where Fezzy can find out all sorts of information about AIDS.
No. I went and checked this up. I do want to point that out. Fullblownaids.com is not, I repeat, is not a medical site. I know that for a fact because I sent a couple listeners there by mistake. They said they enjoyed the pictures, but they still felt ill. 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Coming up in a few moments, we'll have Vernon Reed stopping by. Fezzy, he is a good buddy of Earls. He is guitar player for the band Living Color, as well as a new band.
His new band, Mass, they're going to be playing at the Canal Room. That's 285 West Broadway, right here in New York City.
All right, I think he's coming in now. Earl, come on in and sit him. How you doing, Vernon? I'm Ron.
Everybody. Hey, Vernon.
How you doing?
That's Fez over there.
Fez, what goes on?
Good to see you, man.
How you doing? Have a seat.
We'll have.
I overheard you talking about the number of the beast.
Yeah, you ready for that today? Tomorrow's the big day.
Is it what? Today? It's Tuesday.
Today's 656.
Yeah.
I think it's totally harebrained.
Yeah, you're not falling for it at all?
I don't know, man. I think the whole thing is kind of... they hedge their bets anyway because the date is 6606, you know. So.
Right, I have a problem with that as well. Yeah. Vernon, I'm going to ask you the same question everybody asked us.
Okay.
Why are you friends with Earl Douglas? That's the question.
Earl Douglas?
I get all the time.
Why am I friends with Earl Douglas? Earl Douglas is a solid citizen.
Yeah. How long do you guys go back?
God, now it's way over 10. It's over 10 years. It's 15 years.
Almost 18.
Oh, God.
18 years you guys have known each other?
I remember Earl when Earl was Scotzo's producer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Scotzo was still lucid, you know.
And is that when you guys came in, or was that before the band hit?
That was actually, we met in the context of the band. The band was first getting wider recognition. I remember Earl from coming to shows before the band was signed. And chatting with him at shows, and he's a diehard Living Color fan, and so our association goes through that and the Black Rock Coalition, and and meeting Scott Muni, which was pretty awesome. Scott told off the air, he told me the most amazing stories. Like Scott was alone in the studio when the call came in that Jimi Hendrix had died, and it was completely weird because he was calling he couldn't get anyone on the phone, and he was like, I'm not going to go on the air with this until I get it confirmed. So he actually had the information, and he was just calling everywhere, and it was freaking him out, and he still had to keep the show going while he's making phone calls, and finally got the confirmation.
This is a national show, so we probably should point out to people, in New York City, Scott Muni was rock. He really was rock. He started what age there, Earl? It was like 68 when
he started at NEW in 67, but he replaced Alan Freed when Alan Freed went to New York in Cleveland. Yeah, he replaced Alan Freed, and then on Freed's suggestion, and then Freed brought him to New York.
The weird thing about Scott Muni, too, is that you would see those real short hair pictures of him. It seemed like he never really jumped into, hey, I'm in the 60s look, I'm in the 70s jive, 80s thing. He just he was just kind of stayed himself, but dug the music.
Yeah, it's very funny. Like the people in the 60s that didn't grow their hair long, right? They just kind of stayed exactly where they were.
Which is weird because a lot of people who you wouldn't think would have grown their hair long did in the 60s. It's like Jerry Lewis would suddenly have these long-haired pictures, but you would think if you worked there. No, he wasn't even into drugs, was he, Earl? Scott Muni? Was he a pot smoker?
No, not at all. I think
he's always just a regular drinker.
He was just a straight-up drinker. I think the only time he took, acid was when the Dead dosed him.
Oh, yeah.
and they dosed everybody.
Yeah, I've read those stories, too. Bill Graham
was coffee.
Yeah. Bill Graham was saying that he would only make sure that, if he had a Coca-Cola, that he had to open it himself. And they actually took liquid acid, rubbed it on the top of a Coke can, so that when he popped it open, he was tripping. He didn't even know it. It was already into the top of it. Horrible. Hey, did you see that they lost another keyboard player, Grateful Dead, over the weekend?
Who?
Was it Vince Welnick?
Yeah.
Vince Welnick.
Which is their, fourth? There is a curse of the keyboard players if you've played with the Dead.
Was it Pigpen?
Yeah.
Pigpen drank himself to death.
Right.
Brett Midland, Keith.
Right.
Korshaw, I think was his name.
Man, you're like how to be a Grateful Dead millionaire guy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. I would use Earl for that too if it ever came up.
Yeah, that's it's fourth one.
I am going to make a call. I'm going to call Black Earl right now and make sure we know exactly how much we'll go into this. Hey, have you ever seen Earl in anything but black? Has he always worn black as long as you've known him?
Wow, that's a good question.
Because I get that all the time. I go back, 6 years from you, Earl? I've never seen you.
I think the one time was the Yankees won the World Series in 2000. I wore the jersey the day of the parade.
Oh, is that right?
It was a great jersey.
But did any of us get to see you?
Yeah.
Or
No, I mean, that was the big shock.
I don't remember.
I've seen him out of the jacket, though.
Yeah.
I've seen him out of the jacket, but out of not...
How about a pair of
Have I ever
shorts,
seen you
Earl?
in jeans? Have I ever seen you in jeans?
I'm wearing them now.
Oh, black jeans. You know what? He's
Romeo in black jeans.
You know,
that's him.
it's his tribute to Cash. You know.
Is that it, Johnny Cash?
Among
No,
other
Cash and Carrie.
Vernon, for you growing up, who were you into before you started playing yourself? What kind of turned that corner for you?
I had to say Carlos Santana and Jimi Hendrix.
Is that right?
Carlos Santana, Jimi Hendrix, and guitar players that were in my neighborhood. There was a guitar player named Arthur Rames who is still, I think, he's among the greatest I've ever seen, and he's among the greatest guitarists I've ever seen, and he is the greatest musician I've ever seen because he was a multi-instrumentalist. He played saxophone, he played piano like McCoy Tyner, he played saxophone like Coltrane, and he played guitar like a kind of mutant superhero version of Hendrix, McLaughlin, and Johnny Winter. It's completely insane. I mean, it was only until I heard Alan Holdsworth years later with Tony Williams that I heard someone that played an approximation of what I heard this guy play in like the middle 70s. I mean, he was completely off the chain.
Isn't it insane how somebody can just pick up an instrument and play it? Like, there has got to be some kind of blessing that people get where it doesn't matter what the instrument is. They can just pick it up and go with it.
Yeah, you know, I think the thing about instruments, just like games, you know, the principles are the initial principles are very, very simple. And there are people that have the ability to organize information and organize information in their body in a way that the rest of us just have to really work and work and work at it. And then, I believe that. I totally believe that Buckethead never practices.
Right.
I mean, Buckethead plays like, you know, for those people that know, that are fans, you know, Buckethead is insane, completely insane guitar player. And there's something about his playing that seems so unpracticed, that I don't think, I mean, of course, I'm sure he does practice, but he's one of those people that just I don't think does it. Like my friend Richie, who has he has a six pack, and the guy, you know, he's like genetic. There's certain people that have he is not doing sit-ups at all,
right.
And he just used to piss me off because he would take off his shirt, I'm like he was like completely cut up, you know. But some people have that just like that. I mean, have this ability.
I think it's interesting too that you said in their body rather than in their mind. It's like.
Yeah, I think
their hands just go off on their own.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of like, you know, the body and the mind. You know, we make a separation,
right?
And I think there are people that don't have naturally they don't have to meditate or anything. They simply are integrated. They don't. That separation isn't just not there. You see that with sports figures that have a preternatural ability. They you know, it's like they see the ball. They hit the ball, you know, they throw the ball. It's not, but it's like for us,
right.
For everyone else that goes to the camps and they da-da-da, and there's something else that happens, you know. I mean, I think maybe, well, Tiger Woods was definitely trained by his father, but, you know, Tiger Woods' dad, he saw him hit the ball the first time, and apparently he would take him out to the green, and the kid would just sit there, just watching his dad make the movements. So when he actually said, well, do you want to hit the ball? And he just hit the ball incredibly far and straight. It was like he'd already somehow got it. He got it.
But you know, and it's weird. Like we've all been to that thing with sports where we've turned off the brain just a little bit, where we know what it's like to go. I know this is going in. You know what I mean? I'm taking this shot, and I don't doubt it for a moment. But you don't keep that all the time. Other people seem to have it more.
Absolutely. I think that's the difference. I think everyone has those epiphanal moments. The epiphany when they know without looking at the directions that they're just driving, they know that they're, you know, everyone. I don't think it's a special thing. I don't think it's a thing that only geniuses have. I think everybody has that in everything.
Right.
Whether you're cooking, whether like Jack Kirby had it with not just his draftsmanship, but his whole cosmology, his whole way of thinking about the cosmos.
Right.
You know, He had a complete vision, and he just didn't let anything get in the way. Most of us let things get in the way. I got to pay the bills. I got to do this. I got to do that. And that's the tragedy of just the everyday thing,
Creativity is so weird to me. Nothing interests me more than the creativity thing, and it's so bizarre when you read about songwriters. It seems like almost all the best songs, they'll say the same thing. It just came to me in 3 minutes. The song was done. People have sat around. They've worked and worked and worked, but it won't be as good as that thing is where you just opened up and kind of letting the universe flow through.
I think that's sorry to interrupt, but we want transcendence and we settle for craft.
Right.
I think those moments. I think of it as when you get out of the way of the music. I think every musician has to get out of the way, but you also have to also have to prepare yourself. It's a very tricky business.
Yeah, I almost think of it like it's like an antenna. Everybody has a different kind of antenna. Some people have it for comedy. Some people have it, for songwriting or whatever. And you've got to be there whenever that signal is to pick it up.
It's I was talking to someone about Richard Pryor. And I was thinking about what was the funniest joke that Richard Pryor ever told. And there's so many peak moments, that incredibly funny moments. But there's this one. I guess this is an uncensored show, right? So I can say whatever, right? Well, there's this. Anyone that's a Richard Pryor fan will know when I say 2 more inches. Right. Anyone. If I say 2 more inches. Everyone that's a Richard Pryor fan knows the joke I'm talking about. And the joke is it's brilliant.
Right.
I would repeat the joke, but I couldn't do it justice. I don't know if you have a library.
Yeah, see if you can't find it. The Pryor bit over there.
Yeah, there's this thing where Cat's complaining about his woman.
Mm-hmm.
And her response to him is I think one of the funniest things ever.
And when you're age, somebody like Pryor, it's impossible to think that fast. Or when you're on and you suddenly do a solo, it is impossible for anybody to know how to jump into that. You just either you're doing it or you're not.
Well, it's funny. I have stood very close to Jeff Beck when he's been playing. I've been on stage with a lot of wonderful, I've sat in with Santana, and I was sitting in with Santana some years back, and Jeff Beck was opening, and I was standing about as close as I am to you. I was on the side of the stage, and it was the most amazing thing, because a lot of people are addicted to speed, and speed is thrilling, and of course I play quickly, and there's this whole thing of that in guitar playing. People are really impressed with speed. Well, Jeff Beck can play fast, but oftentimes he chooses not to, and he makes the guitar speak and say things. He just has this funny way, because there's no pick. He's just kind of playing with his thumb and his fingers, and the guitar's just making. He was incandescent. It was unbelievable. It was really stirring.
Now, what do you do when you're playing with him at the time, right? Would you?
Well, it's funny. For me, anything I want, I desire, is a barrier to me achieving it. Right. If I want to be cool, there's something a hustler told me years ago, and this cat said to me, "The cool don't advertise."
Right.
It's like somebody telling you that they're spiritual. That means keep your hand on your wallet.
Right.
If somebody is cool, you know it. They exude that thing, right? Mm-hmm. If I want to be liked by the audience, or if I want them to clap for a solo, I want to play well, I want all of those things, I have to be very careful about that. I have to, the best thing for me on stage is to not want anything, to be prepared for anything to happen, and not care about the result.
And again, because that's the conscious mind getting involved, you think? You almost have to be unconscious.
Yeah, it's sort of like, if you've ever been around Robin Williams, when he is never been as funny ever in a movie as if he's in a room just riffing. He's never...
You could say the same of Pryor, too.
He's never as funny even when he's performing on stage. I've seen him perform, but I've been blessed to be around at situations where he's just there with a bunch of people, and he's insane. He's insane because the kind of mind that he has to make the kind of connections, and he's just riffing, and it's unbelievably funny.
Vernon Reed's here from Living Color and his new band, Mass. They're going to be playing in New York City at the Canal Room this Wednesday. That's at 285 West Broadway.
Yeah.
Earl, do you have a song lined up, too, we can play by them?
Yeah, Dave, can you line up a national anthem?
Dave's going to think he's half
How
the
did this
same.
project come together for you, Vernon?
Well, this is funny because the Living Color and Mask and the Yohimbi brothers have very interesting tangential lives to one another. Because in a way, people think that Living Color is completely disbanded, and it actually isn't, but it's sort of like we're in a process right now of figuring out what we're going to do, what we're going to say next. Mm-hmm. Where is it going to come from? Like, how do we get out of the way? It's like, how do we get out of the way and how do we make it happen, which is kind of a contradiction, right?
Right.
Mask really started out with my first solo record, Mistaken Identity. Now, I consider that the first Mask album. And the thing about these records, the thing that holds them together, is that they're kind of like an inquiry into the nature of what identity is. Because one of the things about Living Color is very much a very big part of the story of Living Color is the fact that it's four African American males, and making a music that it was not supposed to happen, right? Mm-hmm. It was so, like blacks in rock was a kind of novelty, which was kind of just ironic because where the music came from and blah 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 and all that discussion. And I remember I was traveling in the South, and I'm an antiques freak. I'm a thingaholic, so I go to flea markets and stuff like that. So I walk into this antique store in Alabama, and on the cover of Mistaken Identity, there's a little kind of darky figurine played with a guitar player. So I'm traveling with the Stones. We're opening for the Stones, so we're kind of at we're in the top of the food chain, or we're at least opening for the people at the top of the food chain. And I'm in Alabama, and I see this darky figurine guitar player. And I just went through, talking about an epiphanal moment. I said, well, here I am doing this, and here's this figurine that purports on some level to be me, or has something to do with me. And that just fascinated me about the whole nature of identity, and the nature of how identity can be manifested all different things, like not just the race thing, but like the style of music you choose to play. What do you identify as a rock musician or a funk musician? Do you identify as a jazz musician? All of those sorts of things. And people really want you to be in a camp. They want you to choose,
right?
Whether you're into the jazz thing, then that's that, or you're into the rock thing, or into the funk thing. Like, funk is a dirty word in practically everywhere you go. It's like, it's like funk and jazz is like, oh my God, and to me the greatest, like one of the greatest composers was Funky as Hell, Thelonious Monk,
Well, I mean, you brought that up like you guys, were seen as an oddity playing rock when black people invented rock and roll. But isn't it weird that black people kind of have abandoned all of their heroes from jazz, blues, funk, all the way up the line? And when I would go and see, as a kid, Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf, it would always be young white guys and some way older black guys in the audience. But it was still more, I mean, as far as being appreciated, white suburban America kind of kept these guys working, and it was very weird to me to think. Yeah. And the same thing has happened really with P-Funk. If you look at it over the years, you will see a lot more white people seeing P-Funk. Where in the 70s, it was all black people going to the shows.
Well, it's kind of the grass is always greener on the other side, because on the one hand, I think certainly in terms of the blues, like the people that really got it were all the British invasion bands, like every one of them. All of the, if you talk about the Stones, all of the Stones are scholars of the blues. Like, they know I sat and talked, spoke with Keith and Mick a lot, and they know the music inside and out. I've played with Jack Bruce. Jack Bruce knows that music inside and out. Like they all, and it baffled all of them that white Americans didn't appreciate the music. It was completely, they couldn't understand it because for them, they heard the existential truth of the blues, because the blues is really not just these stories about, poor, tired black people. It's about the human condition in a very real way. And I think that on one hand, black people that were migrating, and there was also, like, people talk about the generation gap, but that generation gap has been going on for years all over the place. Like the younger folks were trying to leave the South because the South was, the South was also like Emmett Till and the Scottsboro Boys. So they're like trying to get to Chicago and New York and Detroit and blah blah blah. So they're thinking when they make those moves, it's a new kind of music that they're looking to hear, and a new kind of music they're trying to create, which is the beginnings of the R&B evolution from the blues. And even though the blues is a touchstone and gospel is a touchstone, there was a very powerful sense that we needed to. As a people, I hate to generalize, right? But there was a sense of trying to not have to relive or hear those stories. Not everybody that's even associated with the blues is really into it. Like Gatemouth Brown was very critical of Albert King and B.B. King. He was like, that stuff is too simple. Like, I'd rather listen to Duke Ellington. He was a controversial kind of cat. So there's a kind of cross current where folks are migrating from one place, and they're actually trying to get and move away from, in a sense, even though there's a sense of, we have to always know where home is, but we're not going to stay home. We're going to go. And on the flip side, I think that there are people on the Anglo side, on the white side, questioning materialism, questioning all those kind of values of thing, and what's the real truth. And in terms of music, there's this whole idea of soul music and the blues having some kind of lock on the truth, which is, every music is the same to me. Right. Any music that really does it has got it, So, but I think that there's a kind of, crossed signals and mixed paths,
Well, it's weird that, you brought up that thing about identity, too. And now everyone's supposed to reinvent themselves. You know what I mean? Like when Bowie did it, it was considered, crazy. But now everybody, and not even in show business, and no matter what kind of work, you're supposed to make these turns now and literally move and become somebody new and have a new job. And I do feel, going back to what you were saying about leaving things behind, that is a part of the big American experience now.
Well, America is the place where you can. Think about it. You were one person in England. Nobody knows you here. So I could, I was one person in New York. I'm going to go to California. California, here I come. And nobody knows me here. And in fact, the dark side of that. We all know that the dark side of that is, the dark side. Right. But this is a place where people are free. In a way, I think the most, I guess, I know poignant's not the word, but the most kind of harrowing example of that is Michael Jackson. Because he is, there was this controversial kind of, I guess, biography thing, and he was traveling with a British reporter, and they're doing this whole interview thing. And he goes to an airport or somewhere, and there's this German fan who sees him, and she's literally shaking. She's involuntarily shaking. And he touches her. He reaches out and touches her, and she collapses. She completely collapses. And I thought, man, this cat is like one of the X-Men. Right. Yeah, it's like he just kind of, literally his fame, and it's a particular kind of superpower, because those that are immune to his power are immune. Right. But anyone that falls under the sway of that is literally can be incapacitated.
And I guess a few people like Elvis or the Beatles at their peak have had that, and it either kind of destroys you or you have to try to get away from it. You just can't hold. I think U2 went out of their way. They're in the late 80s, after the Joshua Tree, where they just went, we have got to find a way to fuck this up because people are confusing us with Jesus. Where they started to really go to these stadium shows and going, the Spirit has got me. The Bono went, I got to do something really stupid and put on funny glasses. And
actually, I think that Rattle and Hum, which Rattle and Hum was like almost like Around the World in a Day. Like I remember when Rattle and Hum came out, people were like, "Oh, they're finished."
Right.
They did that one unforgivable thing. They made that movie.
Right.
They didn't, and actually, it set the stage for Achtung Baby.
Right.
I mean, it set the stage for a real resurgence of them. They really came out with one of their greatest records.
But they had to go back and do something different with the music because the persona was so.
I think they got
enormous.
I think they got bored as well. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see what Radiohead. I mean, like I covered on Other True Self, we covered National Anthem because they were one of the bands that made rock really interesting. For me again, and and it's funny because I love all of those records from OK Computer all the way through Amnesiac and Kid A, and it was only until Hail to the Thief that I felt like this record feels like they're kind of repeating themselves. I mean, like all the records. To me, a genius. Like, Amnesiac is an underappreciated masterpiece to me. But it's like Hail to the Thief was the first record out of all those records I started to go, no.
You still love music the same way when you were a kid. It's still the same thing.
I do.
Still a fan.
I do because there's something beautiful about what every and any kind of musician does.
Yeah.
And I'm a real freak in that. There's things I've heard in every style of music, from music that doesn't sound like music at all. I mean, kind of glitchcore and nuttiness like that, to the most traditional, kind of country and western type things. That the thing for me is, it's like a kernel of something that I call the truth, but to me the truth is also in like electronica too. I don't make the stylistic distinctions. Right. Like when I first heard Square Pusher, like Feed Me Weird Things, I was like, wow. It's like it blew my mind, So it's very funny, It's a very funny thing for me. I wonder about that too.
And it is easy to kind of go, oh, the corporate thing has fucked it up, or this was the age that it was better. Like sometimes a lot of us will go, only in our high school years, that's when music was real. But it does take something, and Earl and I talk about this all the time, to be able to go, you know what, I am going to go out and look for it. I'm going to find it. And there's something good, I think, for the soul to be a fan. To go, this has nothing to do with me, but I'm going to pull it in. I'm going to take some of this for myself.
I think it's critical. I mean, I think one of the things about Miles Davis that people don't know is that, Miles Davis was supposedly very instrumental in the Byrds being signed. Like, he was a fan, and he actually covered one of the Byrds pieces. And he was a cat that that went out and Sly Stone. I mean, people talk about the effect of Hendrix on Miles Davis. Really, Sly Stone just completely. I mean, just kind of changed his whole thing up. I mean, he was still open to it. I mean, he was a grown guy. He was deep in his 40s and whatnot when he was in his 40s when he did Bitches Brew. I mean, I think there's a lot of isms and a lot of schisms that people put, into the mix. But I turn around and listen to like Bob Dylan, Time Out of Mind. I mean, it's one of his greatest records ever. And, Paul Simon, still is creating wonderful music. Neil Young is still putting himself out on the line. So, I don't really, and when great artists are doing that, then I really don't take age as an excuse. Tom Jones still sounds good, So, I mean, that's like, and I turn around and I go, I want to love like I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even go there, but
some of the younger guys.
No, but it's sort of like like if Bob Dylan could make A Time Out of Mind, which is like just this incredible document of a cat really dealing with love and mortality. How love will just haunt you forever, and realizing I don't have that much time left. But to even tell that as a story,
right?
And to ask myself, well, why am I kind of hearing the Stevie Wonder record and going,
right?
To me, he's an artist at that level of a Bob Dylan, a Paul Simon, any of the great songwriters, Leonard Cohen, and why does he sound like somebody that's imitating him? And that's just coming from a fan perspective.
But do you think like there's certain guys, and I'll use Stevie Wonder and Elton John, where they're going to go, I'm going to keep trying to stay on the charts, where Bob Dylan and Neil Young are going to go, I'm going to go off and walk my own path.
But the thing about it is, if you check, I guess if I go and listen to like Music of My Mind or Fulfilling This First Finale, or these records are like. These records are like, think about what he did with Living for the City. Like, Living for the City, like, we get used to things. When you hear something that's revolutionary.
Right.
Like, when you hear, like, Family Affair by Sly and the Family Stone, or Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, it's like, we kind of get used to it. But if you turn around and think about the first time you heard, like, Living for the City. It was nothing, basically, it's a song that has a breakdown where there's a play. There's literally a play in the middle of the song. It's unprecedented. Something like that didn't happen again until the hip hop guys started doing kind of skits, until like De La Soul and whatnot. But there was nothing like it. It was like a mini rock opera.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, he came back this year and did American Idol, and one of the kids is singing that song, and he's got this big smile on his face, and he's singing. And I'm like, please listen to the lyrics that are written there. It's, you're doing. There's nothing to be happy about in this song. It's a really.
Yeah, the thing about it is it's an American tragedy.
Yeah.
But one thing, I was at a Grammy party, and this is really, really great. And it was like all the kind of big wigs and swells had left. And there was a DJ, and the DJ started playing Superstition. And, everybody jumps onto the floor. And all of a sudden, one side of the room starts to scream, because Stevie Wonder walked into this party. So the DJ is completely... He was frozen, and he came up, and he had been spinning the track, so the intro only was playing, right? And Stevie walked up and took the DJ's mic and started singing Superstition on top of the DJ spinning the track. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. It was, people were completely like rending, they're tearing their clothes. It was like insane. It was insanity. It was like a moment that we had gone through the fourth wall, or the fifth dimension.
Right.
It was It was this incredible moment. It was electrifying, and that's, I guess, why I say that. It's like, he still has that charge of electricity.
And music is one of those places. You're talking about ripping down the wall. If you really think in your life, when you've had any kind of communal experience, that religious experience, and a lot of times you don't know where. Sometimes it'll happen at a bar. It does not happen, with some guys you never saw before. Well, they'll just some guys are ripping it up, and everybody in the place gets it.
A friend of mine was talking about, he was at some little bar, and he saw a band, and it was a kind of like a rock and blues band thing, and he said this guitar player got up, he took a solo, and from the moment he took the solo, everyone was transfixed. He was like this cat and he had been playing okay.
Right.
And this one tune, it was like Clapton just inhabited the guy's body. And literally you could see, and it was like, at first you're like, he was like, well, maybe it was, but he said the guys on the bandstand were like kind of backing away from him. Like, he was the guy. For the 32 bars or whatever he took, you know, it was, he did that thing. And it just was that song, that solo in that song, and that, but people were freaking. It was like the guy just plugged into the...
And, you know, we've all felt that. And the weird thing is, like, we never really talk about it. All right, Fez, let's make sure we get our plugs in here.
Vernon Reid, his band Mask, is going to be appearing Wednesday at the Canal Room, 285 West Broadway here in New York City. His latest CD is The Other True Self.
All right, Earl, what song do we have play here?
This is their version of the national anthem by Radiohead.
Vernon Reed's new project. The CD is Other True Self.
And you're playing this tomorrow night, is it, Fez?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
Well, we're playing at the Canal Room. We're playing at Scullers in Boston tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
And then Wednesday night, the Canal Room, 285 West Broadway, New York City.
Mm-hmm.
We were, you were bringing that up earlier, talking about playing on the tour with the Stones, and I saw you guys play with the Stones. Is that as weird as it can get in rock and roll to be out on the road with the Stones?
Nah, not at all.
No,
not at all. I tell you what was a far weirder scene than that was the first Lollapalooza. Because Lollapalooza was like it was like the beginning of piercing in America.
Right.
The first Lollapalooza tour, piercing was marginal. And after Lollapalooza, piercing was everywhere.
You know what's really odd? We were doing radio at that time. We had this chick on, Jen from the Genitortures, and she did a thing where, like, a tongue piercing, and this had to be like 91 or something on the air, and it actually made the fucking newspapers. And then within 11 months, your babysitters had piercings.
It's like, it really, I mean, I think there was before Lollapalooza and after Lollapalooza, because they had this kind of tent where they had people with all kind of literature and all kind of stuff about it, and we would go into the tent, and the piercing and tattooing area was packed with folks.
Who was all on that first tour?
That was the Butthole Surfers, Rollins, Rollins band. It was Susie and the Banshees. It was Jane's Addiction. It was Living Color. It was Body Count. It was 9 Inch Nails. I think that was it.
And at that time, at that time, it was really one of those times where music had just taken another really big turn.
Well, it's sort of funny. It's almost parallel to what happened with Woodstock in that like George Clinton told me, that Woodstock was really the end of the hippie era.
Right.
It literally was the end. And in a lot of ways, Lollapalooza was the end of the alternative. It was the beginning of the end of the alternative rock thing.
Because again, the corporations got a hold of it after that.
Yeah, and it became. I mean, the biggest threat to it was its success. Because it started. Within I think 5-6 years, they kind of burnt out, or it was like it was a through the looking when Metallica was on Lollapalooza. That's when it was like, whoa.
Right.
What, if any, meaning does it have when you start out with Metallica's and Monsters of Rock, and then there's the anti Monsters of Rock tour, and then within 5 years, Metallica's on the tour that was the antithesis.
And even with Lollapalooza, starting to bring in hip hop bands. Before that, you wouldn't have seen rock and hip hop together, and they did. And it was always this really cool vibe in the early days, and it just felt like, is this going to be it? And once again, it wasn't.
It's a tough thing. Part of it is, newer bands needed to come in. I think that the way Bill Graham used to book shows was that he would have like jazz artists and he'd have blues artists and he'd have the most popular rock artists, and that sensibility that was sort of a part of the sensibility of the early Lollapalooza thing. If anything, I would have liked to have seen them embrace some of the jazz people, like even if it was Medeski, Martin and Wood and blah blah blah. But it's funny, that mentality of putting a Miles Davis in front of the Grateful Dead audience is lacking, and we really kind of need it, because I think all the separation
that came from a corporate thing of let's
maximize, and it's in a way, American music is not about the greatness of American music is not from all the agreements. It's from the collisions.
Sure.
Strange Bedfellows, all that's where the collision of values is what makes for new things. But since we're all kind of want to be in our bag, in our box, and not be disturbed,
It's interesting though. Earl and I talk about this all the time when we're booking the show. It's always like cool people are into cool people. Like if you can bring these people together that you would think are total opposites, but I think somehow they see something in each other. You know, you can tell the other person who's really going for it.
You know, I'm actually really interested. Because I'm really interested. I would love to hear what the sort of Guns N' Roses record that has been rumored about. Because, you know, I recently heard that Ron Thal, who's another guitar Superman, has been playing, has been doing stuff with that project. And that's pretty cool.
It'll be interesting to hear.
And the Buckethead was doing stuff, too.
Yeah. We got a ton of phone calls for you, and we never had a chance to get to them. I hope you can stop back in and do this again.
Sure.
We got to get out of here. But
all right.
It was great seeing you. We'll plug this again.
The new band is Mass. The latest CD is Other True Self. Vernon Reed. You're going to be playing Wednesday night, June 7th, at the Canal Room, 285 West Broadway in New York City. And where tomorrow in Boston?
We're playing at Scullers in Boston. And also we're playing with Liquid Soul is also going to be on that bill in New York.
So you guys just going to take these out for a little while, or how are you going to do it?
Yeah, we're going to do, we kind of we're going to go out to the West Coast, and then we're going to go to Vermont to play a festival, and we're going to do Europe again, and,
That just means 1 minute
1 minute. Just waving.
Wow, that was good. Before the computer cuts us off.
All right.
All right, well, it was a pleasure to have you in, man. We hope you come back in again. Earl, way to go.
Thanks.
Team Bennington, way up today. Way to go. I'm very, very proud of you. We'll see you guys tomorrow right after O&A. Take care, everybody.
Ron and Fez, XM 202.